Hi, this is Al Snow, former WWE superstar.
My name is Bradley Rotten.
This is Zack Primetime Reeb.
What's up, guys? This is Brian Cage, this Wolverine, the F Machine, Mr. GMSI himself.
You already know who it is. It's the bad boy, Boyce LeGrande, Dynamite Division Champion and PCW Heavyweight Champion.
This is EVE.
This is pro wrestling's one and only true superstar, Mike Shupe.
This is wrestling personified Rick Luxury.
This is Kimberly. This is Rachel Myles with Cattywampus Entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the glamorous, this is the fabulous, this is the best looking ring announcer and manager of champions of all time, the Voice, Donovan Troi.
This is the half man, half amazing ballin' superstar, Montel Vontavious Porter, MVP.
And now let's remember Mitch, please.
Well, gee golly, hello there, and welcome to the final episode, episode 30. Mitch, please. It's been an amazing ride, guys, and I don't know what my average listenership has been. I'll be honest, it's somewhere around maybe 100, 150 average listeners per show, and you know, I'll be honest, I wanted more, and I guess I just didn't work hard enough to get more, but I'm very, very thankful for the people that do listen, and the people that share this show, and that have done so over the last, year and 8 months or so. It's been amazing. I've had a great time, and I never expected this to blow up and become huge, and I really just did it because I loved it, and now here we are. We're 30 episodes in. Actually, this is episode 30, and I just turned 30. So I figured this is a good place to stop. Let's do this one more time. Let's do what I originally wanted to do. I wanted this to be an outlet for me, selfishly. I wanted to vent, I wanted to share my opinions, I wanted to tell my story. And what this evolved into was me wanting to tell other people's story, interview people, and dedicate every show to somebody. And that's what I did. And I still shared my opinions on things and did some fun things and had some great times and got to talk to a lot of great people. I wouldn't change a thing. And I, again, just want to say thank you for clicking and listening to this show. And we're going to get right into it, okay? Because my guest on this episode, the final episode, is, drumroll please. That was a weak drum roll. Mitch Valentine. Welcome to Mitch, please. Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. I mean, this is just what I want to do, guys. I want to tell you guys my story. I want to go through my life. I want to share my experiences. I want to vent. I want to do a lot of things, so we're going to do it. Here's the deal. I was actually just talking with my mother last night, and she was telling me the story of how she met my dad. And my mom, again, Mitch Please Alumni, episode 2, she loves to sing. That's her passion, is to perform and to sing. And she pursued that. And it took her to Hopland. And she was working, performing all over the place. Mendocino Brewery, specifically, is where my dad saw my mom performing, I guess, and also bartending, and wanted to dance with her, wanted to talk to her, and my mom wanted nothing to do with him. But for whatever reason, through my dad's, persistence and, I guess, appearance, intelligence, he was able to, convince my mom to, I guess, date him and be with him. And within a few months, I was conceived, and my mom was pregnant. And she would be able to better explain how all that went. But the fact is, I was born in Ukiah, which was 10 miles from Hopland, or 12 miles. And so that's where I was born. And then I lived in Hopland with my mom, and my dad had a lot of problems. He was abusive, and he was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And my mom basically got away from him as soon as she could and moved to Chico. And, still pursued her passions of music, and, was an amazing bartender and waitress and chef. And, my dad also followed us here and made life very difficult for my mom. He stalked her and slashed her tires and threatened her and did just horrible things. And it was a battle in the court for me. My mom was scared to death that he was going to get custody of me and ruin me, I guess. My early memories of my father are just basically not very pleasant. The one that comes to mind, and I don't know if this has just been told to me and I remember it as a story, or I have images of being in his hot tub in his apartment and him being nice, but just saying really horrible things about my grandmother and my mother, and laughing about it. And my grandmother, I'll definitely have to share some things about her on here. She was just incredible, and my mother as well. So for my dad to say those things and do the things that he did, I mean, it's a miracle that I was able to stay close with my mom and my grandma. And another early memory I have is living. I think we moved to Paradise eventually. We, Ukiah, and then Chico, and then Paradise. And I remember I was 3 years old, and I was having supervised visitations with my father, and his name was Scott, by the way, Scott Allen Mitchell. And I just remember we were going to meet at the Paradise Rec Center or Jack in the Box up here, and I just remember he didn't show up. And that was the first day where I really felt anger in my heart and in my physical actions, and I pounded on walls, and I was angry. I was angry. Why did my dad not want to see me? What's wrong with me? So, you have to excuse me, I have a little bit of cold. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. Nose blows break. Are you ready? Nose blow break, not blows. Oh yeah, we got music on Mitch Please. We got a soundtrack. So that's where it kind of started for me as far as my anger, and life was different after that. I never remember seeing my father again. I have no memory of ever seeing him again. But what I do remember as a kid and my childhood was John. And John was is a little blonde-haired kid that my mom and his mom were friends, and we just were just best buds. We just Batman, Ninja Turtles, riding around in our little car things, jumping around, probably fighting and wrestling around. Who knows? I mean, it's hard to remember those early years, but I remember John. And John recently passed away. And I'm just thankful that I was able to spend a part of my life with him that I cherish. And he'll always be there with me, and he was an incredible human being. I think he was the real Johnny Quest. That's what I said. That's what I've said, and that's what I feel. And God bless John, and rest in peace. And it's hard to transition out of that, right? Well, I would move on with my life. I would move all around paradise. I'll just, from Shady Lane to Honey Run, to the Evergreen Trailer Park, which was actually amazing back in the 90s when I lived there. It's kind of developed into like kind of a not so nice place several years later. But I was there. It was a nice place. My mom, we had a place. She called it the Crystal Palace because my mom loved crystals, and she had at least 10, 15 crystals hanging in windows, maybe more. And I would really start to a relationship, a friendship with a young man 4 years older than me. We dated. we did a lot together, man. The Roost, Ryan. He became probably my closest friend at 8 years old, and my mom was in a band with his dad, and my mom was also in a band with a man named Bill Teague. So I'll get back to Ryan here in a second. I want to talk about Bill Teague. Bill Teague was basically one of the first real father figures I felt in my life, because he lived with my mom and me and was very, very nice to me and spent time with me and drew pictures with me, and we made comic books together. And, I'm really thankful I was able to have, have Bill Teague in my life. Also, Dave Bordone was another guy that was a father figure, probably the strongest father figure consistently throughout my 30 years on this planet. He was a close friend of my mom's. My mom actually worked for him. He's in the bar business, in the restaurant business, and just one of the greatest men that I've ever met. Just classy, smart, funny, accepting, caring, loving, everything. Dave he has my heart, man. I mean, I see him every Saturday. We go shopping together. He's 75 years old. I'm sorry. He's only 70 years old. He's only 70. Sorry, Dave. Didn't mean to add a couple years on you. And he likes food, so he's liked food his whole life, and it's catching up to him. He's moving slow now, and I'm just thankful that I'm able to be there for him in any way that I can and spend time with him, because he was just absolutely incredible, and my life would not be the same without him. And anyways, we're going to go back to Ryan now, the Roost, who was on this show, by the way. We talked a little Star Wars. He talked a little Star Wars. I chimed in. But, guys, and I'm sorry. I know I sound a little stuffed up and blowing my nose. I'm just kind of getting over this. It's not a bad sickness, but it's just I'm congested. Everyone's congested. It's New Year's Eve morning as I record this, and it is what it is. So please hold. Oh yeah, this is a great episode of Mitch Please here. So me and the Roost would just hang out on, hang out and do everything. Power Rangers, I remember, was real big for us. But what was really big was Star Wars. And he introduced me to Star Wars, and he said, you need to watch this. This movie's incredible, these characters, all this stuff. And I remember during that time, they were re-releasing them special edition style in the theater. So I remember, my mom, I think, and Ryan, the Roost, we went and saw every single one of the old or the original episodes of 4, 5, and 6 re-released at the Paradise Cinema 7, which is ironic because then I would go on to watch every single Star Wars at the Paradise Cinema 7, and I still continue that, and I will continue that possibly for the rest of my life, unless God wants to take me out of Paradise and take me away and wants me to watch it somewhere else. But the fact is, me and the Roos were pretty inseparable. We played a lot of video games, and he was a big part of my childhood. Good friend. A little sneaky, a little snaky, but overall, a good friend. And then my path was basically Belden. My mom would take me, and she maybe took me once or twice to Belden. I don't really remember, but it's a beautiful place. It really just attracted her to go there, and probably. I don't remember when she first discovered Belden, but I don't even want to tell you guys where it's at if you don't know, because I just feel like it's such a special place that I don't know how to put that, but it's a special place. So we ended up in Belden. My mom got hired as a bartender over there, and we ended up getting like a trailer in Belden town. And Belden town had a population of about 14 people. And so, here I go, in school, and again, I'm trying to cover this stuff as briefly as I can, and really get into my wrestling career, and your guys' questions that you asked me. So I'm trying to be as brief as I can here, but it's just, there's so much, right? I should write a book, but ain't nobody got time for that. So you're getting the audio version, basically, and it's disheveled, and I'm stuffed up, and it's just, I'm sure you're having a great time, and I really do appreciate you listening. But basically, through school, as I talked about, my anger was established, through my father basically abandoning me as I felt, and not wanting me, and then my anger was bad, and I was a troublemaker in school, and, I just didn't want to listen to anybody, and I wanted to say whatever I want and do whatever I want, and haven't changed much, right? But no, so I was getting in some trouble. So moving to Belden was big because it was like, okay, now I'm starting over a little bit. We're going to put me in a school called Indian Gym, which has like 12 kids in the school, all different age groups. And I'm in this beautiful place with rivers and tubes and beautiful scenery, and just it was great. In the summertime, especially, it was fantastic. It was very cold in the winter. Wood fires, very cold, not a whole lot to do. It's a little town. Quincy was about 45 minutes from Belden, and that was kind of the closest town where you could actually do something. All Belden had was a little store. I mean, I don't even think you could get gas in Belden. I think you had to drive 45 minutes if you wanted gas. So it was an experience that I'm so thankful to my mother for giving me, because who gets to say they grew up in or not grew up, but lived in a town of 12, 15 people and went to a school with the same amount, and, the Feather River Canyon. God bless that place. And 1 second, water break. Oh yeah. So, as time went on, I think we lived in Belden, and then in this little place, right around the corner from Belden called Little Haven. I want to say 2.5 years, and then finally my mom. Actually, what happened is a tree fell on our house in Little Haven, and no one got hurt or anything, but it was a bad storm. It was like, God, I can't remember the time. I want to say it was in 2000. Yeah, I want to say like early 2000, spring 2000 maybe. Bad storm or whatever, and a tree fell on our house. And listen, nobody was hurt. None of our stuff was broken. It kind of fell towards the back end of the house. Thank God, because if somebody was back there, they would have died. And I remember when that happened, and we ended up, going to Quincy, staying at a hotel. And at this point, I was going to school in Quincy. The little gym, the Indian gym school had shut down. So I was going to school in Quincy and, taking the bus, an hour every day to school, an hour home. I think my mom maybe started started working in Quincy. I really can't remember, or going to school. I know she was doing both at one point, and I just don't remember when it all started. But I know that it started. We moved that motel, and I don't remember how long we stayed in that motel. But I went to school, and I know I liked it because I liked being in Quincy, and I was close to my friends. Because, if I wanted to have a friend over, they'd have to drive an hour or 45 minutes to my house, and the tree fell on. Come on down, drive an hour, a tree might fall on you. So, but then being in Quincy, and, my first year was fifth grade. And I did very well. I got on the honor roll. I got on a low-carb diet, lost a bunch of weight. Because this is another thing, really, mention you guys. I was a chubby kid. Probably after about 5, 6, 7, I started just being chubby, just eating too much food, not being active enough. And, I was just an overweight child for 3, 4 years straight, and people teased me and all that stuff and whatever. They teased me, but then it was like I'm kind of a big guy, so it's like they don't want to tease me too much, but it stings, fatty and chubby, all that stuff. But I've just kind of accepted that that's just a part of me. I'm always going to be the fat kid. Really, I am. Especially recently, I've packed on a lot of weight that I need to lose since I've been out of the ring. So. So what eventually happened, 5th grade, on a roll, lost a little bit of weight on a low-carb diet, and then I was trying to establish myself. Who am I? I like Bruce Willis movies. I dressed up like Bruce Willis. I remember going to school in the orange tank top with the blonde hair and the gray pants, from Fifth Element. I wanted to be Bruce Willis. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. Of course, none of us do at that age, I'm sure. But it was just funny. The kids probably didn't know what to think of me. But then what happened is I started hanging out, or at least doing my best to try to hang out with the 2 coolest kids in school, which was Richard Williams, who was in 6th grade when I was in 5th grade, and Darnell Hamilton, who was in 5th grade with me. And we went to Quincy Elementary, which went up to 6th grade. So, Richard's the 6th grader. He's like the coolest kid in school. His mom's a teacher. He's tall, good-looking guy, great athlete. And Darnell's in 5th grade, and probably just as good of an athlete, if not better, and just an awesome guy. Richard was a white guy. Darnell was a black guy. And there was not a lot of black people in Quincy, but this was kind of my first time really feeling that racism is real, because there was some kids at school that just were scared of Darnell because he was black or whatever, or he's a scary, tough, muscled up kid and a great athlete. So that's probably might have been why they were scared of him. But I just remember there was just a couple instances where people would treat him differently. And I didn't understand it because he was cool to me. He was a badass. He was a badass. So, he wasn't always the coolest to me as far as being nice. Because you got to be a badass. You can't be nice all the time. But for whatever reason, we clicked. And I remember he ended up coming to the house in Little Haven where the tree fell, and hanging out with me there. And actually, that is where we picked up a microphone. My mom had given me a karaoke machine for Christmas, I think. Christmas 99. I'm just guessing. But I remember Darnell came over and we picked up that microphone and he just started telling me, man, let's rap. Check this out. He got me into rap music, He got me into basketball. I started playing basketball, started being active for the first time in my life. And he was just he was just there to just drive me, I guess, and just bring something out of me, and that's what he did. And he also introduced me to a little thing called the WWF. And basically what he said, and he was one of the main guys at school that was basically saying, hey, The Rock is awesome, you got to check this out. Did you see Raw last night? Did you see SmackDown this and all that? And so I just remember, fast forwarding, living in Quincy, and me and my mom eventually moved into a trailer park in Quincy. I was in the trailer with my mom in Quincy, and she was working for the ag department. She was like spraying weeds all day. I mean, she busting her ass, man. Getting up, putting her work boots on. She was like Tomb Raider, like Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, the blonde version. She'd put that outfit on, she'd go to work, she'd bust her ass, she'd come home, and just cook me dinner and help me with any way she could. She was just incredible. She had given up her singing at this point. She wasn't singing. She was working, and then she'd eventually also enroll in Feather River College and start going to school and working, and our car wasn't always running, so she'd be riding her bike to work, riding her bike to school. Just incredible, doing whatever she could do to keep a roof over my head. Over our head. And my grandma, at this time, she's living in paradise, and we're seeing each other a lot, and she's an incredible influence, and she had a video camera, and I'd do a lot of fun things with that video camera. I like to record myself, just like I kind of do now. And, she had a word processor. I'd write a lot of stories on her word processor. That was a good time. And I got a story to tell you real quick. It's a audio story about this time when I blew my nose. Beautiful, right? So, Darnell got me into the WWF while I was living in the Quincy trailer park. And I remember, I think he was over, and we turned on Raw, and the first thing that I saw was The Godfather. And, I was just like, I'm a 12-year-old boy. I'm like, oh, man, look at these girls. I'm liking this. This is a good show. Let's watch this, definitely. And, and then I just remember, he wasn't there, and I turned on SmackDown or something, and I see, I see The Rock, and he's in a feud with Chris Benoit. And Chris Benoit was very intense and looked like he could kill you, which, it's ironic that I said that, and, God bless his family for what happened and what allegedly happened. It's just so hard to believe, But The Rock and Chris Benoit were in a heated feud for the WWF title, and Triple H and Kurt Angle Triple H and Chris Jericho actually were getting into it. Kurt Angle was getting into it with The Undertaker. Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Taz, the Godfather. I was just drawn to all these characters. Mick Foley as the commissioner. I loved it. The commentators, Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. Like, everything about it was just like, this is really interesting and entertaining. And I was drawn. And I started recording it right away. Like, I would record, the wrestling that I would watch, probably to be like cool, so I'd be like, hey, did you guys miss Raw? Well, check it out, I recorded it, come over and watch it. And I still have a lot of those recordings from 2000. It was like right before Fully Loaded 2000. That's when I started watching it, and I was hooked, man. I never wanted to miss a Raw, I never wanted to miss a SmackDown, never wanted to miss a Heat. I loved it. And I think I became obsessed with it to the point where it was like I was recording everything. I didn't want my life revolved around when WWF was on TV. Nothing else mattered. Like I said, me and Darnell would hang out. We'd play basketball. I was on the team. We recorded music. We recorded a 2-sided cassette tape of songs that we wrote. He was Craze Dog. I was Extreme Dog. We were Off the Leash Records. Our producer was his big brother Z-Dog, who was another amazing rapper. And Darnell was an amazing rapper. And I was just, I was there. And we actually ended up being a part of a talent show at school and getting on stage and performing in front of our whole school, our song that we wrote. We didn't write the hook, though. We used the Nothing But a G Thing hook. And then we wrote our own verses. It was very homage to that song because there was some similar things, but there was a lot of original material that we wrote. And that wasn't the first time I performed in front of people, though. But I remember, like, I was wearing my Rams hoodie that Dave gave me. I believe Dave was in a relationship with my mom at the time. We were living together, and he gave me this hoodie, and I went up on stage, and me and Darnell, I thought we just did it, First time I actually performed live, I talked about this on episode 2 with my mom, is at one of her gigs, very early age, I performed the Aladdin song in front of a crowd at a bar, restaurant, or something. I can't remember. You have to go back and listen to episode 2. Go back and listen to every episode. Click on every single one of them, like them, share them, and get them views up. Because looking back at everything, it's amazing to see like the shows that got a lot of views or the shows that didn't. And I always wonder why. It's like, well, okay, was it the guest? Was it the timing? Was it? I beat myself up about it, but. Anyways, where are we at here? All right, we're pushing 30 minutes on episode 30, and with the 30-year-old rambler. And I was talking about the time, so we performed in front of our whole school, our original rap song, semi-original. And then I remember it was the same day. It was actually my birthday was coming up. This must have been December 99. So before I moved to Quincy, so I'm jumping all over the place just as I remember things here. But basically, I thought I had a birthday party the day after, because I remember I sent out the invitations and my mom and Dave kind of set it all up. I was like, oh, cool. So tomorrow, today we're going to perform in front of our whole school at this talent show, and tomorrow we're going to my birthday party, right? We're all going to hang out. Well, Dave and my mom somehow fixed it up where it was going to be a surprise, because the day before I thought my birthday party was happening. Dave walks me into the pizza shop in Quincy, and there's everybody's in there, and it's a big surprise, and that was so cool. And it just that's the only time I think I've ever gotten a surprise party in my life, and it was fun. It was really cool to hang out with everybody, and I always had a good time with everybody for the most part. I mean, I was still causing a lot of trouble, getting in fights, being a smartass, saying stupid things, not listening to my teachers, not following directions. I mean, just all that stuff was definitely happening. And you know what else is happening right now? Oh, one of these days I'm going to do what my grandma tells me to do, and I'm going to snort something in my nose to help clear myself up when I start getting stuffed up and whatnot. But moving along, guys, as I said, Quincy Elementary was 1st through 6th, and then we eventually would all be going into 7th grade, which was in conjunction with the high school. So it was 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Quincy High School. Quincy Trojans. I don't know if it's still like that, but it was when I started going there. And, like I said, I was coming off a good summer. I was coming off a good vibes and feeling good and hanging out with Darnell, and he's one of the coolest kids in school, and we were super tight. So, like, I was kind of, by association, kind of cool, and I was feeling good. People still tease me and stuff for being chubby, but I didn't care. Whatever. I mean, I did care. I was probably hurt by it. And I tried to, eat as good as I could, I think, and play basketball. But, I wasn't driven to really diet and exercise at this point. But, it was kind of a traumatic experience going into 7th grade. I think I was there for maybe a month. And, what happened, and I haven't really told a whole lot of people this, so I'm going to tell you guys. What happened was we had PE. There was this kid named Billy, and he's a big old kid, and he was like 16 or 15, and, I'm like 13, and he was held back or whatever, but he was in our PE class, And he's just kind of a Billy the Bully, you know what I mean? Like, he really was. And he ended up attacking me, actually, and of all places, in the shower. So very vulnerable, right? And it wasn't anything gay or anything. It was just like he just started beating the hell out of me in the shower, and in front of everybody. And I'm naked. I'm just like trying to cover up, and like, you know, it was so embarrassing, and so shitty. And I never went back to Quincy school after that. I went home and I didn't tell my mom what happened. I just remember basically faking like a head injury or a back injury or whatever it was, just saying that I couldn't, you know, my back and my head and this and that, and just probably worrying my mom like I've done my whole life. And I wouldn't go back to school, and she took me to doctors, and they CAT scanned me and do all this stuff. I wouldn't tell anybody what really happened, and the school had called. I don't think the incident was really reported, and if it was, I remember maybe I deleted a message or something, and then like they never called back, and they really never looked into it. They didn't really have anything to say about, like, my mom never knew what had really happened. But then I was talking with my grandma one day, and this was, I mean, I was probably a month, 2 months, 3 months into basically not going to school, acting like I was like a freaking paraplegic or something, you know, just, I can only imagine the stress my mom was going through while I'm doing this, because she has no idea what's wrong, the doctors have no idea what's wrong, and I'm just at home watching TV all day. And of course, extra excited when WWF comes on. I cut out all my friends. I didn't want to talk to anybody, not even Darnell. I mean, maybe Darnell came over once or twice, but like, you know, he knew what happened, and he was embarrassed for me as well. And, you know, he probably looked at me a little differently too. He was like, man, well, you know, this guy hasn't come back to school, and like, what's going on? You know, I'm not the same guy. And that was probably really affected me, you know, looking back. And eventually what happened is I was talking to my grandma, and she got it out of me. She said, what's really going on? And I told her. And that's when things started changing. My mom was furious at the school. Furious. Oh my God, I cannot even imagine what she said to the principal or whatever when she went back in there and talked to him. Oh my gosh. But at that point, I told my mom and my grandma that I did not want to go back to Quincy school. I was not going to do it. Send me to jail, like, or juvenile hall. Like, I'm not going. So then it was decided that I would go live with my grandma, I think. My mom was probably ready for a little break, or you know, she's still working and going to school, so she can't pick up and move in the middle of that, you know, and it was probably good for her to get a little break from me. So I went live with my grandma, and went to school at the Paradise Intermediate, and met a whole new world of people. And I'm the new kid, but I'm not the new kid, because I was here kindergarten, first, second, third grade, but nobody really remembers me. And now I'm this big, chubby, you know, traumatized kid that thinks he's black. I literally thought I was black. Like, when I was hanging out with Darnell, I started becoming, you know, I thought I was a gangster. I thought I was a rapper. I'm a baller, you know, and then secretly, I love WWF, and I don't really want to tell a lot of people, because there was a negative, even though wrestling was at its hottest. You know, this is like 2001. It's like, it was starting to dive a little down, because it was not at its hottest. I think its hottest was probably 99, 2000, but 2001 is still hot. You know, everyone's watching it, and there was some kids that I would talk wrestling with, and yeah, I still pursued basketball, and I think I even still wrote a few songs, but just, it was hard to find anybody that I could really connect with in Paradise at the time. I remember some kids like Donnie and Tyler. We were all right friends. They lived right down the street from my grandma. We'd hang out, but it was just hard. It was hard to connect to people. I felt like a total outsider that nobody understood. Still got in trouble, you know, for my mouth, and just probably trying to be the cool kid, and then, you know, moving on, we just I think we had to end up putting me in homeschool at the end of 7th, and Going into 8th grade, another traumatic experience here was like, basically, I destroyed my family's property, and I'd break things all the time when I was angry. And it came to a point where the cops had to come over, and I'm scary. I'm 12, 13 years old. I'm, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", whatever, and 200 plus pounds. So the cops came over, and I told the cops that I wanted to go live in a foster home, and I didn't want anything to do with my mom or my grandma. And so they said, okay. So I was in a foster home for a month, and it was during 9/11, and it was with a family called the Hickeys, and they were actually very nice people, but it was not what I was ready for. There's a lot of other kids in the house. I'm an only child, very strict, very routine, very, couldn't watch my wrestling past 9 or 10, which that wasn't going to fly for me, and it was interesting. And what was really cool is they lived in Paradise, but they let me go to Mountain Ridge, and I don't remember why. I wanted to stay in Mountain Ridge. I didn't like the Paradise Intermediate. I jumped from there. I think I did homeschool. Then I jumped from there, went to Mountain Ridge in Magalia, and I liked it there. Actually, I did. I liked it there. I had a couple people that, I clicked with a little bit. I started talking to girls a little bit. They weren't feeling me too much, but they, I was feeling them, So, So I was going to Mountain Ridge, and I remember me and my mom had pizza, or maybe it was Chinese food or something, and I broke down, and she finally said, okay, well, you need to come home now. It's been a month, and, that was long enough. And then we moved to Magalia. We moved to a beautiful home on Manatee Circle in Magalia. And that's where it really all, I feel, started for me, as far as realizing that I was going to pursue professional wrestling. This was like November 01, and right down the street from me was the immortal John Hondorf, and he of course was in my classes and went to my school, and he was a big old jacked up, probably the most jacked up kid in school, and he lifted weights, he played football, he wrestled, but he was a Hondorf, and he was special. And he was a good guy, and he liked wrestling. And we were neighbors, and we just hung out, and we just kind of clicked. We're both a little screwed up. It just kind of worked. And he got me into lifting weights. He started showing me, this is what you got to do. And he probably wasn't the best weight trainer, but he was getting results, and drinking 25 Pepsis a day. But he showed me how to jog and run and lift weights and do crunches and push-ups and all this stuff. And I had a weight set, and I had a stereo in my backyard, and I just started really molding myself and feeling like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be in good shape, and I'm gonna be a WWF superstar. And at this time, WWE, right? So, in particular, Brock Lesnar had just debuted, and of course, The Rock's my guy. And Kurt Angle's my guy too, but The Rock's my guy. He's everything. And he's starting to leave and come back, and I was like worried, like, man, he might just be done wrestling. And then Brock Lesnar came along, and Brock Lesnar got in a program with The Rock, and they did these really cool videos of Brock working out and The Rock working out, and I, there was a magazine also documented it, and I had it. I was a subscriber to the WWE magazine, and it just got me even more motivated. I said, yeah, I'm going to work out like these guys. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in the main event of SummerSlam one day. This is all me. I'm going to do this. Jesse Manslaughter, I think I wanted, or Mitch Manslaughter, or JC Manslaughter. I knew Manslaughter. I was going to be Manslaughter. That was my big thing. I felt that from an early age. And there's still not a manslaughter out there that I know of. So anybody hears this, don't you take that. That's mine. I'm claiming it. Mitch, please, with my 50 listeners. God, I hope 50 people listen to this. That'd be awesome. But Brock Lesnar became the man, and he became kind of my new guy because Rock left. You know, he was gone. He filming movies. God bless him. And I was working out, and I was still, I started finished school. Actually, Mountain Ridge told me, they said, dude, it was like March. They're like, listen, go home, don't come back, we'll pass you to high school. Just don't come back here. I was causing so many problems with my mouth and everything else. So, summer of 2002 was incredible. Again, the Brock Lesnar, and hanging out with the Roost, hanging out with the Hondorf. Lost contact with Darnell. There's I don't know what happened with us. There was another fight I was involved with. There was a couple. Well, let's just finish up this Darnell thing. So there was a fight I got into, and I got my ass beat, man. We had another guy named Billy just boxed the crap out of me, and I bled all over my brand new white Iverson like jumpsuit that my mom got me. And Darnell, from there, I think he just kind of lost respect or whatever. He's like, this dude can't. He couldn't. He got beat. He got outboxed by Billy, but Billy, different Billy, not Billy the bully. This was Billy Poindexter. That dude could throw hands, man. I mean, so anyways, and then I didn't see Darnell again for 5 years. I saw him in 2007. We hung out. We had a great time, and then I got probably too drunk, and I got jumped by like 4 people, and Darnell didn't do anything, and that was the last time I saw him, and it breaks my heart a little bit because I love him and appreciate him, and I don't know what he has against me, or if he has anything against me, or I don't know. But I love Darnell, always will. But in 2002, I felt like I was having the time of my life. That summer, I was, like I said, hang out with my friends, really started pursuing girls, started dating girls, was going to youth group just so I could hang out with these girls, was getting in fights. I was beating people up, and I was just getting in shape, looking good, slimming down, 5'10", 200 pounds solid, maybe even 6 foot. Like, I feel like I've been 6 foot or right there around 6 foot for like 15 years. So, I mean, anyways. And then freshman year of high school, it's like, here we go. I'm dating, what was I doing? I was dating Barbara still. But I had these 2 girls, Barbara and Adrian. Like, I was trying to date both of them at the same time. I really liked them both. They were 2 different girls, 2 different everything. But there was this kid named Chris that was stalking one of them. Maybe even both of them. I don't know. But he pissed me off, And so after school one day, and this is like 2-3 weeks into freshman year, I'm talking to the football coach about getting maybe on the team, and I'm doing good, man. But then I wanted to beat the crap out of this kid for disrespecting one of my girlfriends. I don't even remember which one. And I beat the crap out of him. And then a cop came up behind me and grabbed me, and I struck the cop. I didn't know it was a cop. And I was arrested in front of the whole school, and they all cheered. It's like, he's doing stuff with a cop, or maybe they were just cheering because they didn't like me and I was arrested. I don't know. But so that was kind of it for me right there. First couple weeks of high school, Paradise High, done. Bad guy in handcuffs. And basically told that, you're going to need to go to the special school. I wasn't even old enough to go to Ridgeview. They sent me to the community day school, which was half, drug drug class and then half educational. And I hadn't even touched any drugs at this point. Like, not even, like, maybe a little alcohol, like vodka with my boy JB, but like never really touched any even any weed or anything. And of course, once I got in that school and I started smoking weed, so it was just so stupid. But I had a great time with my buddy Drew. He was a really good guy. We had a lot of fun. smoked a lot of weed. And I had a good time, but it was just a point where, again, I was causing problems and being stupid and being disrespectful, and then they did send me to Ridgeview. And there was just so much going on at this point. I loved this time in wrestling. This is like Fall 02, you know, it's like Angle Benoit and Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, and Triple H is on Raw beating everybody, and oh man, just such a great time in wrestling. So I just remember really enjoying WWE and getting through school and still working out and looking pretty good, you know, and just still feeling that wrestling's my future. So then what happened was Thanksgiving came, and my grandfather from St. Louis came out to see us. And I guess he had seen me as a baby, but I don't really remember him, too much. And he's a big old guy with a bigger personality. And, my Uncle Stan was also heavily involved in my life, but he was in and out of jail. And, this is his father, and we're all together, my grandma, my mom, my Uncle Stan, and my grandfather Stan. And, what a blessed Thanksgiving that was. And shortly thereafter, I guess my grandfather and my mom, and it's not my mom's birth father. My grandma's been married 3 times. She had her first husband, she had my mom. Her second husband, she had my uncle. And now she's with her third husband, who probably the best for her, I think. But, 2 blessed children, really 3, because they adopted another family member. But my grandfather adopted my mother. I'm confused myself. Sorry, I can only imagine you guys are confused. But my uncle's father adopted my mother. My mother has a different father who actually lives with her now, and she takes care of him. But this Grandfather Stan, was just amazing. And I just remember I had such a good time. In the short amount of time he came to visit Thanksgiving, I just adored him. I thought he was just, what a guy, right? Like, I don't know where you've been, I don't know where you came from, but hey, you're something else. And he wanted us to come out to St. Louis and live with him and kind of help him, because he's very overweight and diabetic and runs a bar and a trailer park, and just kind of wanted a little bit of help and a little bit of love. And my mom took him up on the offer, thinking, hey, here we go. Let's give, Mitch, or Jesse, I guess you guys didn't know, that's my real name. Jesse Cole Mitchell. Don't look me up. Too late. But, she looked at it as a fresh start. Again, I'm just getting in trouble at school, being an idiot, and now we're gonna move to St. Louis. It's actually Dupre, Illinois. It's about 15 minutes from St. Louis. It's a little podunk town, white trash, just, my grandpa had all this land that he bought that was very affordable, and he was making a good profit off of it, so that's why he's living there, pretty much. Plus, he also had family out there, so, but he wanted us out there, and we came out there, and I flew out there, and then my mom and Dave and our incredible dog Chevy drove out. But I was there first. So I was there. I started getting to know what was going on. And again, my priority is watching my wrestling and working out. And that's all I really cared about. And of course, girls too. I definitely wanted to touch some girls. And my grandpa just opened everything up, open arms. And there was some hard times. Hard times, baby. Let me tell you about hard times. Hard times is when you get a watch, because watches suck, baby. Something like that, right? So I just, so much going on. But my mom came out there, and again, I get into school, and I ended up actually going to this black Christian school. It was like God trying to pull me in right away. Like, okay, you're here. We're going to put you in a Christian school. So here you go. So it's all black kids. And of course I'm like, oh yeah, a bunch of Darnells. This is going to be great. And the fact is the racism is very real out there. Very, very real. So they didn't like me. They kind of liked me because I had flashes of probably some coolness that they, basketball, rap, all the stuff that I liked, big guy, everything. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I got bullied and I got out of there. I did get to play some basketball. I think I even maybe, what happened is I was supposed to play in my first game and I didn't do my homework and my mom wouldn't let me go to my game. So, of course, what did I do? I blew my nose. What else are you going to do? But no, I had behavior. I continue to have behavior, destroy property, do horrible things, say horrible things. And, I got a little bit of help out there. There was some stuff that I don't even, I'm not going to talk about at this point. I'm going to burp. That's what I'm going to do. But I went around to schools and I ended up at the Dupre High and, had a good friend there. And my God, I'm so long-winded. This is like, I'm talking about me at 15 and I'm almost an hour in. So I gotta get rolling on this here. So I'm going to briefly just say, guys, I went to school out there and I had a good time, met some good people, cherished the times with my grandfather, the genius. I'll never forget watching baseball with him, and I hated cigarette smoke, but I'd sit in his room with him when he smoked cigarettes, and we'd watch the St. Louis Cardinals, and he watched wrestling with me. He liked wrestling, and he liked the Rams, and I liked the Rams, and those times. And funny too is, he's 300, probably 50 pounds, or just diabetic and love food, and we'd go to buffets and and my mom, she's trying to police all this. I put on some weight. Once I got out there and eating with him, I think just me eating by myself, I put on weight and stuff, and he's overweight. And my mom's trying to police all this, and my grandpa just is constantly mocking her, like she'd do her Pilates and he'd sing Pilates, and if she had a glass of wine, bottle of wine, fruit of the vine. So we're just constantly all torturing each other. And you got Rudy Poo, also my cat that I picked up in Quincy in 2000. She's with us, and she's still with us. I love Rudy Poo, and of course Rudy Poo, named after The Rock. I wanted to call her Rocky, but we settled with Rudy Poo Candy Ass, and we just all call her Rudy Poo or Rudy for short. And Chevy's out there, and a very sad thing. Before I get to I'm going to share a sad story, and I'm going to share a funny story, and then we're going to move on. So, the sad story is Chevy got hit by a car and died on our street in Dupre, and we don't know if it was done on purpose or not, but that dog, man, was just, if you're a dog lover, it's a family member, and we had her for 4, 5, 6, 7 years maybe, and I love that dog, and we all love that dog, and so sad, so sad. My funny story was my grandpa wanting ice cream, and who doesn't want ice cream? But he's diabetic, so my mom said, okay, listen, you can have ice cream one day a week. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to have it today then. So then we have it today, and it's like a Monday, right? So then the next week, so then by Sunday, he's like, all right, it's been a week. I want ice cream. It's Sunday. It's like, well, it hasn't been a week. Well, okay, well, my new ice cream day is Sunday, and then Saturday, and then Friday. So he's always changing his ice cream day to be a day be a day closer to his last ice cream day. So, and my mom eventually just, had to stop, and my grandpa ended up getting a freaking freezer in his room with a lock on it. It's like, what are you going to do? He's got guns and a freezer with a lock on it. What are you going to do? So we were there for about a year, and, like I said, it's a whole different world out there, with the racism and the scenery, and my mom's a California girl, and so am I, so... And I was getting in trouble at school, man. I was sent to 4 or 5 different schools. I ended up going to a school in East St. Louis, which is like Compton, and like going through metal detectors and almost getting stabbed in fights and shit. Just not doing good, And my mom was kind of sick of the scenery and missed her home. So we had to say goodbye to my grandpa. And a year later, he died. It was like a year and a half later. So let's say we left in December 03, and by May 05, he was gone. And thankfully, he came out in 04 and Thanksgiving, and we spent Thanksgiving with him. Me, my grandma, my mom, I think my uncle, and Dave. Because that's the thing. That's what also brought us back was Dave. You know, Dave brought us back from St. Louis back to Paradise and eventually to Reading, because Dave lived in Reading. So, me and my mom moved in with Dave, and again, I've known Dave since I was 2-3 years old, and him and my mom were friends and business partners. But then they had a relationship, and then they ended their relationship, and then they started the relationship again, and so it was just they are something, and we ended up living with Dave in Reading. And this is where my life started taking a more positive turn. Because Dave wasn't going to put up, he wasn't going to hit me or do anything, but he wasn't going to put up with my crap. And I respected Dave. He wasn't my dad, but damn near pretty close. So I finished up. I remember coming back. I did some homeschool, because that's what Dave said. That's what you want. That's what we'll do, and I'll help you. And he did. He was incredible. And my nose is just a wreck. But yeah, and then ended up the homeschool thing. He was like, all right, Dave was like, dude, you should probably get out there. You're 16 or 15, 16. He's like, you should get out there and start socializing, because all I wanted to do was just, I had gained a bunch of weight at this time, and I had a big old afro, and I still was working out and lifting weights because I wanted to be big, and I thought I was like, I guess I'm gonna be Mick Foley since I can't ever not get rid of my belly, and I got this hair, and I thought I started dressing like Mick Foley with the flannel. It was so ridiculous. I'd wear like band shirts with the flannel, so I was like Raven and Foley, but like still loved Brock Lesnar and The Rock, so it was like, I don't know what I was. I loved Led Zeppelin, but I still had some love for rap music, but it was starting to kind of turn into more rock and just classic rock and some of the new rock, and still, of course, loved wrestling. Would not miss a show, recorded everything. Gosh, I was online at this point, posting in forums. I actually ended up starting to write for some websites, write columns and reviews, and 16 years old. Tape trading, all that stuff. Started getting into TNA then when they got their Fox Sports deal, and then also started looking into Ring of Honor because I heard about Samoa Joe and CM Punk. So I started checking that out. So I was like, oh, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, AJ Styles. I really liked the alpha male Monty Brown. I thought he was awesome. I still think he was awesome. I don't know why he never got a big push and made it huge, because he was great. But yeah, so just eventually by the after the summer of 04, I enrolled into I think it was Enterprise High. Was there for a month. Got kicked out. I think I threw something or yelled at somebody. Got transferred to another school called Pioneer. Got kicked out of there. So I mean, at this point, guys, I'm 15 schools in, probably 12 to 15 schools in my lifetime. So I've been to pretty much a school for every year I've been alive. And I ended up, October, November, somewhere there of 04, ended up at Live Oak High School in Reading. And this is where truly my life took a turn, because I met Teresa Boyd. Shout out. I think she's got Mitch Valentine blocked, but she loves that Jesse Cole Mitchell guy, I think, on Facebook. She's annoyed by Mitch Valentine, but she'll tolerate Jesse Mitchell, and she's been one of my best friends since 04. Somebody that I really respect, and just respect. No, it's not about respect, but like it's about like she accepted me, like, right away, day one. She came up to me, and I'm, big old chubby kid with the big old afro, with the freaking Led Zeppelin shirt. I got the Stairway to Heaven written on my binder, And she's like, hey, you got your name on your binder. She goes, you got my name on your binder. And I go, what? And because, there's a lady who's sure. There's a Teresa. So, bam. There's that. And then Leo Anderson and Abu, Enrique. I mean, some really good people. I just started like, all right, cool. And there was a basketball team. So I was on the basketball team, I think with Leo and Enrique and other people, and I'm coming up with nicknames for people, and I'm making people laugh, and I'm cool, I'm big, I'm just different, we're drinking, we're smoking, we're being young, dumb, broke high school kids. How you guys liking old Stuffy Stufferson here? But anyway, so I'm enjoying life in Reading. Still being an idiot, but getting better. And at this point, I'm looking at my high school credits, and I'm so far behind, and there's just no way I'm going to get enough credits to graduate on time. So it's like 2005, and let me tell you guys this story real quick. Oh, man. Okay, so you know how Mitch pleases. We do it all live, one take, no stops, no edits, no breaks. So I'm gonna just bear with me here. All right, first I want to tell you guys. First time I went to a WWE live event. It was in 2003. It was in St. Louis at the Savvis Center. It was with some people that lived in my grandpa's trailer park. Jason was the guy's name, and he had a family. We all went. We had a great time. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar beat the heck out of Spanky. John Cena, who I loved at the time with that freestyle rap he was doing. Oh, loved him. He beat up Zack Gowen, and I mean, in more ways than one, verbally destroyed him and then beat him. And then Stephanie, oh my gosh, she's like my biggest crush, right? I just think she's just amazing. Actress, performer, athlete, beautiful model, everything. I love Stephanie McMahon, and she was one of the. I think Vince McMahon was the first out the curtain, but Stephanie was involved, and I think Stephanie, gosh, she I can't remember. I don't remember what she did. I want to say she wrestled the A Train, but I'm not sure. I don't think that's right. I know Undertaker wrestled the Big Show, and oh man, it was just really cool. Looking back, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but it was a SmackDown taping, and it was just it was awesome, right? My first time, and my second time was with my Uncle Steve and my grandma. We all took a road trip, and this was early '04, and we saw Raw and SmackDown. It's like Raw in like San Jose, and then SmackDown in Reno. Like a little road trip. Had a great time, saw Chris Jericho and Christian in a cage match, and the debut of Eugene in the ring. And, SmackDown was, a little tough to remember. I want to say Eddie Guerrero, destroyed JBL's limo. And anyways, I'm digressing like a sumbitch. But, I want to share that with you to share this. Me and Dave were going to go to a WWE live event in January 05. We were scheduled to go. He got the tickets, and I was excited. But before we went, Dave and my mom went on a little overnight escapade with their friends somewhere. And I'm 17, freshly 17. And I'm expected to, here's money for pizza, man the house, don't disrespect the house, don't have people over, just, be cool. Well, I'm 17, I got friends, and we party, and I said, I'm throwing a party. So, Teresa and Leo and Abu and my brother Max, which was Dave's dog, Black Lab, who's like a brother to me. Love you, Max. Love you, Max. Love you, Max. He was there. He was the biggest head of the party. But so, I mean, oh my gosh. I got all these people over there. We're all sitting around the table, and we're all like, all right, let's throw our money down. All right, now let's get the guy to buy us the drinks. Who's going to buy us the drinks? And we just, I it was just a great time. You know, it was ridiculousness. Like, Leo's kicking the chandelier, and, you know, Leo and my friend Josh were getting into it. Josh rips his shirt off and wants to fight, and, you know, we're making out with girls, and we're doing other stuff with girls, and Teresa's stealing my avocados, Abu's cuddling with my brother, my dog Max. It's just ridiculous, right? Like, what a party. And we wake up the next day, I'm like, oh crap, they're coming home, we got to clean this place up. And to give people credit, you know, I know Leo, like, Leo was there, and the girls that we had over were there, and they helped me a little bit clean, but I mean, we couldn't hide it. My mom and Dave came home, and they knew who's been in here, what's been going on. And me and Dave were supposed to go see Raw live the next day. I'm like, oh man, there's no way. You know, it was like, I want to say the party was Saturday, the Royal Rumble 05 was Sunday, and then we were scheduled to go to Raw Monday. It was like a super show. They were taping Raw and SmackDown. So they're coming home Sunday night. I'm watching the Rumble, you know, trying to act like nothing happened, and they figure it out, and they know. And I tell them the truth. And Dave, to his credit, I mean, they already bought the tickets, right? So we go to the show, and Dave wasn't feeling good, and he definitely wasn't feeling good about the decisions that I had made. But yeah, we went to the show, and I want to say it was in San Jose or Sacramento, I can't remember. But we had a good time. It might have been San Francisco or I don't know. But anyways, we had a great time, and it's ironic to me that Dave came to a WWE show with me and sat next to me, even though I just disrespected his home, you know. And Dave has put up with so much of my crap. My mom's put up with the most. My grandma's the second most, and Dave's probably number 3. And God bless all of them, and I love them all, and I wouldn't be the person I am without them. All right? So then what happened was I went back to school, and of course now I'm kind of cool, you know. I just had a party, you know, blah blah blah. I finally cut my hair, which that wasn't. I shouldn't have, you know. That kind of got me a little more attention, though, I think, from maybe the girls or whatever, because my hair looked ridiculous. And then cut it short, still overweight, trying to lose my weight, trying to get in shape. And that was always a struggle. It's still a struggle. It's always a struggle my whole life. And it's just something that I just got to pray about, you know, and just something I got to focus on and dedicate myself to, because, you know, diabetes and heart and all disease and all that stuff's real, man. You got to take care of yourself. So anyways, ended up, as I was saying earlier, there was no way I was going to graduate on time, so I needed to figure it out and probably get a GED, and so I started doing that. And then I started going to college. I was like 17 and not even 17 and a half, and I was going to Shasta College, and I was getting ready to take my GED, and I was going to basically, like, graduate 6 months early, because I think December, you know, I was going to be 18, and I was going to be able to take the GED. And I wasn't even supposed to graduate till June of 06. So I'm basically I'm going to get out of school by December. I just got to do a lot of work. And then also, you know, my mom, at this point, her and Dave, you know, broke up, and me and my mom got our own place in Reading, but then she's drawn to Paradise, because now she's, you know, I think she has a new boyfriend or something in Paradise, so she's drawn to Paradise, and then on top of this, we're dealing with my grandpa just passed away, and we have to go back to St. Louis and deal with that whole thing. She's the administrator of his estate, which caused her so much stress. It was so difficult for her, but, you know, she was the only one that could do it. And my uncle's going to jail. My grandma's doing very well. Think this is about the time where she reconnected with her high school sweetheart, Dale, and they got together, and she would eventually move down to Ventura, in that area. So my grandma's down there, my uncle's in and out of jail, my mom's in Paradise, and I'm in Reading with my own place. And now you'd think that I'd be throwing parties and doing all this crazy stuff, because I basically have my own place. I'm 17 and a half, you know, going into 18. And the fact was, you know, once I started going to Shasta College and kind of getting out of Live Oak and getting away from everybody, I didn't have any friends. I don't know what happened. I was so focused on my wrestling forums and chat rooms and columns and going to the gym, and I was taking jiu-jitsu classes. I was taking college classes. Making my own food, doing my own laundry. I had Rudy Poo. I had to look out for her. So I was just. I didn't really have a lot of friends, and I didn't really hang out with a lot of people, and I was really just by myself a lot in my own place, kind of. My mom was there, maybe once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, I don't know, but she was gone a lot. I just know that. And she trusted me, which was amazing with everything I put her through, that she was able to trust me, and I think I did a pretty good job, because nothing bad happened. And I just went to school and worked out, and I love wrestling. And I at this point, I think me and the Hondorf had went to a Sacramento show. And me and my mom also went to a 4th of July show when Michaels kicked Hogan. And this is where I met AJ Kirsch, because he was handing out flyers. And I might have even met AJ in 04, but I definitely remember 05 meeting him. And him telling me about PCW, and then me looking into PCW and looking at the website and just being like, okay, so I know I have to go to a wrestling school and get trained, and this is the closest one, and it looks pretty legit. It's attached to the NWA. The guy I met was cool, and AJ was like a big guy that looked good, and I'm like, he wasn't even a wrestler. He's like, I'm a ref. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's only a ref? This is going to be tough. But, of course, AJ would transition into being AJ. So, but he started as a ref, a humble ref, too, and a hard worker, and not much has changed, except for he doesn't ref. I don't think. I don't know. But so I was just focused on that. I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to get through college. I had to get my GED. I was taking some writing classes, working out, trying to get in the best shape I could, trying to understand the wrestling business the best I could. I'm watching shoot interviews and, trying to talk to people online and just try to understand it the best I could so I know what I'm getting myself into. I was watching a lot of Secrets of the Ring with Raven. He was big, man. Raven trained me a lot, in my mind, as far as what I'm preparing myself for what I'm getting into. But eventually, so here we go. Now I'm 18. All right, now we're moving back to Paradise. We're getting out of Reading. Back in Paradise. Always back in Paradise. I always get drawn back. And my mom said, all right, you're 18 years old. If you're going to live with me, you need to get a job and you need to pay rent. So, got a job. Actually, I got a truck first with a little bit of money, I guess. Oh, yeah, by the way, my dad died when I was 15 when I was in St. Louis. I didn't even flinch. But what was good about him dying was that finally, after 15 years, my mom got some financial help and got some Social Security and some money. So she ended up giving me a lot of it, when I was basically living by myself in Reading. But then, she had saved some, and I bought a truck with that money, and also with some of the money from my grandpa's estate. So it was like, my dad, my grandpa, they got me a truck, They helped me a lot, I guess. Social Security did anyways. Grandpa definitely helped me a lot. And my dad was who he was. But I get this bright orange construction truck that's just beat the hell. It was like a 1988 Chevy Cheyenne, something like that. It's a beat up old orange truck, right? I called it Tang. Got the truck. Then I got the job for Community Living Options, which was taking care of disabled people. And then once that was established, I'm pretty sure this was the order. I had this flyer for over a year, drove out to Yuba City for my free day trial, and I already had my $500 ready. I mean, I already knew what I was like, I know what I'm doing, but let me get my free day trial. And AJ Kirsch was there. But the first person I met was a guy named Jesse Ludlow, and he was bench pressing. And I go, hey, sir, or whatever, my name's Mitch. Because people always, get confused about my name. It's like, well, the Jesse name is what it is. My mom named that to me, so I have to keep it. But it's like I started when I was watching that 70s show, started wanting to go by my last name. I also had my rap names. I was like EWC and Extreme Dog and whatever. And then J Mitch was what everyone in Reading called me. And then it just kind of turned into Mitch. Like I wanted to be Mitch or Mitchell. I didn't want to be Jesse. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway, so yeah, I'm introducing myself probably as Mitch. So, and I thought Jesse was the trainer. When I get to the work farm in Yuba City, I walk in the doors and he's the only one in there. So I'm like, oh, hey, are you the trainer? And he's just like, no. The trainer is actually in Japan, which was Zack Reeb. And he's in Japan. So I'm like, wow. I'm just like mesmerized, right? Like, wow, the trainer's not even here because he's in Japan. Like, just blown away. And then AJ walks in, and AJ's a little cocky. Like, I remember AJ with his long hair, just being a little cocky, chewing his gum, little Shawn Michaels coming in here. And he remembered me and he said, hey, he was very nice. Put me through my workouts, it was like me and Jesse Ludlow and then like Scoot Robertson and like maybe a couple other people. Brian Cage eventually walked in late with like, and I'm like, oh my God, like he's all jacked up. Like he's got like a bag of celery and a big jar of peanut butter. He walks in all jacked up. I'm like, who's this? I thought it was this guy that was on Tough Enough in 04 who like tore his pec, but they still gave him a contract. He looked just like him. I thought that's who it was, but it was just, damn it. Welcome to Mitch Please episode Nose Blow. Episode Stuffed Up. Welcome to Mitch Please Stuffed Up. But also I remember Andy Zimlowski was there too, and God, I think Joe Thorburn and maybe Joe Ferrier. Like there was a good crop of guys, and we finally get through all the working out, dude. The working out's intense. It's like an hour, like wall sits and push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks and squats and running, and I was like, oh my God, I was in shape. I was all right. I handled it well. Actually, me and Brian Cage probably were and Thorburn were probably the most in shape guys training as far as handling all that. So I was like, I feel good about this. I'm like, let's do this. And AJ's like, all right, guys, get in the ring. And I'm like so excited. And my Mick Foley kicked in. I'm like, bang, bang. And I roll into the ring. And AJ's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I don't know. He's like, well, you need to get out. You're supposed to wipe your feet before you get in the ring. So he's like, here, take this broom, sweep the ring. He goes, now get out. Now do 100 push-ups and get back in the ring. Wipe your feet this time. Yes, sir. So so there was that. That's my first time in the ring. And we do the rolls. And rolls are fine. I handle the rolls. I with my jiu-jitsu, I got it. And then it was bump time. And, man, I just was not very good at taking a bump. I don't know what I was doing, but I was knocking the wind out of myself, and I couldn't breathe that very well at the end of the day. So I went home, and I actually couldn't even finish training my first day because I couldn't breathe. I told AJ, I said, I can't breathe. And he's like, just get out, just watch. It's all good. Him and Brian wrestled. That was cool. I went home. I remember my mom, like, she always would have a big dinner for me after training. And, I only got to put in like 7 to 10 training sessions because what happened was Zack eventually came back from Japan. And before I talk about that, let me tell you this. So, my mom was having a big meal for me, and God, I tell you what though, I didn't know if I was going to keep going. I was like, dude, I can't breathe. And I talked to AJ Kirsch, and he said, dude, he goes, watch your favorite match, and remind yourself why you want to do this. And I said, okay. And I watched Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit from the Rumble 03. And, you know, and then I remember looking and watching bumps. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're bumping hard. And that's how you got to bump. And I didn't understand bumps, I guess. I don't know what it was. Like, I really didn't understand a bump until I took one. And it's no joke, you know. And especially for a chubby kid that's barely has an athletic background. And then at this time too, I'm working, and then at this time, I'm drinking. And I get a DUI. In fact, I crash my truck. This is not even a month into my training. I maybe had 4 or 5 training sessions. Maybe 3 or 4. And I'm hanging out with the Roost, and I'm drinking, and I'm like getting in, problems with girls, and getting angry, and driving, and it's one hell of a story that I don't think I'll tell on this show, but, I got a DUI. It was a DUI crash, and I was sent to jail, and I was a disaster. I thought it was over for me. I'm like, wow, I just started training, like everything's good, job, car, training, done. DUI crash. So, and now I'm going to court, but my truck was still drivable somehow. I don't know how. I had to pay $400 to get it out of the tow yard, but it was still drivable, and I drove to training. I still had my license for like another month or so, and I drove to training, and I swear it was the first training after my DUI. I show up, and there's Zack Reeb putting up his Dragon Gate posters on the wall, and this is the first time I've met him because he's been in Japan, and I shake his hand, Mitch, Zack, hey. And I tell him about my DUI, and he tells me his one of his stories about maybe getting in trouble or whatever, and then it's just me and him. No one else showed up, so it's just me and him in the ring, and I'm going through my rolls and my bumps, and I'm struggling with my Beal bump still. This is probably my 5th or 6th or 7th session, and I'm struggling with my Beal bump, and he's trying to show me, and I'm getting frustrated, and he's probably getting frustrated because I'm getting frustrated, and we just kind of talked after that. We just had a good talk, and he said, well, I don't know what's going to happen because, while he was in Japan a couple weeks before I started training, his trainer, Schizo, was arrested and sent to prison, to jail, or, eventually to prison. So he's coming home, he's dealing with that. Now he's got this new guy, and, maybe the bills aren't getting paid. I guess there's not enough people paying enough money to keep the doors open, so the work farm has to shut down. And, I had paid my $500, and Zack, had met me, and I think I learned over the phone, maybe he called me or something, or AJ, and I said, work farm's shutting down, man. We can't keep it open, and and I just devastating. But before all that, I just want to share one other quick story. I've told this on a couple shows or whatever, but AJ, after I got my DUI and I lost my license and I was still training. I want to say I was training from like April to June. It's like 2 months, we're supposed to be twice a week. And so like, I didn't train that whole time twice a week because of several different things. But I want to say I put in at least 10 or 12 sessions, maybe, somewhere around there. And I was starting to pick up a couple things. Like I could jump and I could flip and I could springboard and, I was starting to just feel something. And then, and what was really cool is I didn't have my license. So AJ, I would go over to his house after work and he would take me to the training, and then he would let me crash on his couch and then get up and go to work the next day. And, he didn't have to do that. And how do you trust this 18-year-old kid that just got a DUI that he doesn't know in his house? But he did. And God bless AJ Kirsch, man. He started my journey in wrestling. He was a big part of it. And as was Zack, obviously. But, I got the call about the work farm shutting down. Zack basically told me, listen, we got a show in Oroville on September 30th. The work farm's done, but come to that show. We're going to talk about your future. I said, all right, Well, so my grandma drove me to that show and dropped me off, and Scoot Robertson was the only other one there, and so that was the first show at the Oroville Municipal Auditorium, and it was the first independent wrestling show that I ever was in attendance for. And, Zack talked to me a little bit. It might have been right away, actually. I think he just said, hey, listen, we don't have a training school. I still got my ring, obviously, right? We're doing a show. He goes, you're going to get in this ring whenever you can with me. And you're going to get in the car with me. And we're going to drive to APW and wherever else. And you're going to get in the ring. You're going to get your training in. I will train you. It's just not going to be easy. And I said, all right. And that first show, he put me at the door. This is what's crazy. 18-year-old kid I'm at the door taking tickets, and I have all the money in a box for that first Oroville show. And there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars in this box that I'm holding, that I'm responsible for. And he trusted me. And, of course, I guarded it with my life and then gave it to him, to Zack, and something was just, God brought us together and wanted us to have some sort of connection together involving PCW and business. And I don't know what it was. That's what I feel. So, but then my dumbass, the first time I get in the car with him, we go down to Hayward, we go to APW, and my dumbass gets drunk in the parking lot. I'm supposed to be on security, but I'm like, well, there's like 20 security guards and 40 fans. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm drinking a beer. So, and I remember before that, I met Matt Carlos and Dylan Drake and Jekyll's, and I remember I took like a second rope bump, and I think I got a concussion, so that didn't help either. I definitely took a nasty bump before that, and now I'm drinking beer in the parking lot. I'm supposed to be on security. Roland Alexander, just great first impression, right? All right, kid bumped his head. He's supposed to be on security. He's drinking beer. All right, and now we're all going to go hang out in a hotel room. So this story was told on episode 4 with Zack. So I'm just going to tell you to go back to episode 4 and listen to the story of that night. And I'm going to move on, okay? And We'll fast forward here to 07. I'm doing security, and I'm noticing how the ring announcers are, Dylan Drake, and then there was another guy. He shall remain nameless. He's not getting a shout out, but Casey Starr, you little fuck, you got one. So he's the ring announcer. I didn't think he did a very good job, and then he was like moving away or whatever. So I'm like, I asked Zack, I think I left a voicemail, and I did introductions on the voicemail, and he's like, was that your interview or whatever? And I go, dude, I would love to be the ring announcer. And he goes, well, then that's what you're going to do. I said, all right. So that's how it all started. I remember, this was like summer 07, and Dylan Drake's in the ring, and he had just wrestled Tito Pitbull Aquino, who was another great friend and mentor of mine early on. Just really somebody I looked up to. Well, I kind of looked down because he was a lot shorter than me, but love you, Tito. You were always very great to me. Very, 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 very good to me. And taught me a few things, too. And so Dylan was the ring announcer, and then he was beat up by Tito Aquino. So then Dylan gets on the mic after and says, listen, I thank everybody for accepting me as the ring announcer, but the fact is my heart's in this ring, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a wrestler. And then he goes, and I'm sitting at the ringside ringing the bell, dressed up nice, and he goes, Mitch Valentine. And where the Mitch Valentine name comes from is basically, my mom's last name's Valentine, my dad's last name's Mitchell, everyone calls me Mitch. I said, well, I'm going to be Mitch Valentine. It just kind of sounded good, plus I love my mom. I want to carry on her legacy. And she was a performer, Robin Valentine. Now I'm a performer, Mitch Valentine. I'm probably going to legally change my name. At least my last name to Valentine, because I'm a Valentine. And So Dylan Drake says, Mitch Valentine, it's your time, and the fans popped, right? Like, they know me as just the security guard that talks to them and sells them tickets, and they popped, right? They're like, oh yeah, Mitch. And so I get in the ring and grab the mic, and it was such a blur. I wish there was footage of it, but I just remember standing in that ring with that packed crowd. I'm the only one in the ring with a microphone with all these people. I'm just like, this is where I belong. This is home. I felt so fucking good. F-bomb city right there for you. And it took an hour and a half. And I can't believe we're an hour and a half in, guys. Oh my gosh. Well, if Bradley Rotten went 2 hours, I can go at least 2 hours. I'll try to cram this all in, because we're in 07 and I'm the ring announcer. And I had a good time. My mom, and at this point, she connected with her high school sweetheart, same as my grandma. And I was living with my mom, but I had a relationship. I was actually living with a girl in Oroville for a minute. That didn't work out. And then my mom basically said, listen, I'm moving to LA to be with Allie, which was her high school sweetheart. And that's who she wanted to be with. And I'm 19, about to be 20. And I'm just like, oh my God, okay. Well, she left me the house. I think she even paid for a month of rent, and I'm working. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to take this place over. Well, the fact was, it was a little too expensive. I moved around, got a room for rent, then eventually got my own place, got in a horrible relationship, blah, 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 blah. But my mom and Allie came to a show before they left. That was cool. That was the first show I got to come out as the ring announcer and host the whole show, I'm a host, damn it, not a ring announcer. A ring announcer just talks about heights, weights, and names. Weights? What's a weight? But no, the host, man, he's the guy. He's there to welcome everybody and take everybody on the ride. I mean, that's a host. That's not a ring announcer. But another argument for another day. Guys, I would go on. I would have tons of different jobs. And like I said, bad relationships. And, I don't know if you can call it a bad relationship. I think it was just a relationship that I had to learn from, and that's what I did. And I went on and got really close with Zack and hung out a lot with him, and he wanted to basically mentor me and I was his protege, and I remember forget when he called me up and said, dude, I want you to run this company with me. And I don't know why. I was a shy guy. I didn't think I was that good at promoting or anything, but he saw something in me, and he's like, I want you to run this whole business with me. And I go, oh, all right. Do you? They started right there, and I started learning a lot, and I credit him so much because he gave me the platform to take this product and go out there and present it to people, pitch it to people, sell it to people, and I loved it. It was what I'm here to do. So I finally, again, don't have consistent training though. So that's the thing. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to wrestle, but I can't because I don't know how, because I'm not getting enough training. But he's still taking me on the road. I'm still learning a lot, and I'm screwing up a lot and doing stupid stuff. But finally by late 08, September 08, it's like, all right, we're going to get you physically involved with some guys, with Matt Carlos and Rick Luxury. And you can check out the video online. It's like Rick Luxury attacks Mitch Valentine or whatever it is. And it's it was what it was. My pants almost fell down, and I wasn't wearing any underwear. Wouldn't that have been hilarious? Like Carlos had... I was the host, so Carlos was ripping me up, beating me up, whipping me with my belt, and then he was going to go to give me like a rocker dropper, and I was going to pick him up for a power bomb. Well, when he went to pick me up, when he went to pick me up for the rocker dropper, my pants were unbuttoned. I wasn't wearing underwear, didn't have my belt, so like if I would have stood up, they would have dropped to the floor, and the whole crowd would have seen, little Alfred Mitchcock. So thank God I was able to just say, nope, not ready, and button my pants back up, and he beat on me and then picked me up, and then bang, big power bomb, double. You got to watch the video, guys. YouTube that stuff. It's ridiculous. Much love to Matt Carlos and Rick Luxury. And I got tasered by Rick Luxury twice that night. First time he tasered me, and he'd go on to taser me a few more times, but he wasn't the only one. But I felt like, all right, here we go. Now I'm ready to wrestle. I was not ready to wrestle. Zack threw me a bone because he knew that I needed it, and and then we both kind of had some issues, and PCW kind of went away for a little bit, like a little over a year. We still ran a show in Clear Lake, so it's like there hasn't been a calendar year that's gone by without a show, but we took year plus off in Norville and stuff, and we came back and we worked with Z-Rock, which is ironic because that's who I currently work for. And we worked with them, and I got to do a radio interview, and, I got to work with Michael Modest, which was, what a trip, right? Like, Michael Modest? Yeah, the guy that was in Beyond the Mat, like, the guy that's like APW's golden child at that point, and, we were supposed to have a match, but that didn't end up happening. We just kind of had a segment, and nothing really came of it, unfortunately. But I did get to train a little bit with him, and also at this point I was like, dude, Zack, we have to get this work farm back. Where are we doing it at? Are we doing it? Can we do it at your dad? Can we do it at your on your parents' property? Because we need to do it. Because it's 4 years. I'm like, I've been at it for 4 years, and I don't know shit in the ring. I know how to promote a show. I know how to get sponsors. I know how to sell tickets, but I have no friggin' idea how to friggin' throw a proper shoulder tackle. And much credit to Brian Cage, because I did get some time in his ring, which was in Durham, which was close, and it was outside, so it was just very select time, but he gave me access. He got signed to WWE, and he gave me access to that ring, and I worked on a lot of my bumps and rolls and just did what I thought I knew, and that was very helpful. So much love to Brian Cage. And then, of course, much love to Zack and Rick, because it was Rick's ring that we ended up getting and taking to Lomarica and setting up and reopening the work farm. And this is how, Kimmy career started. This is how Mike Shupe's career, kind of took a good turn, a good direction. And then everybody else that came through there. I mean, Chico Lopez and JJ King and Lee Perfetto and Patrick P. Daddy Abbott and the Real Deal Will Roberts and Propane and Atticus Lynch. I mean, my gosh, the list goes on and on. And this new crop of guys especially, there's some really talented guys coming through now, but it was just at the time, it's Zack and it's me basically running this whole ship. Now, I don't even know how to really have a match yet, but yet I'm the guy collecting money and doing a lot, and I can only imagine the way I rubbed people, and this is where a lot of my heat probably comes from. There's a lot of people that have this heat with me. I don't have heat with anybody, but there's people that probably are irritated with the fact that I did what I did, that I was kind of like a second boss. Zack's the boss. Zack's the man. This is his baby. It's all him. But I'm kind of like he's like the boss, and I'm like the manager kind of deal. And I was like 22. I was like 22 years old, and you got a 22-year-old, and then Zack's like 27 or whatever, 28. I don't know, 26. But he's done things. He's been in Japan, Portugal. He's the man in NorCal. And, I'm nobody. But I don't think I'm nobody. And anyways, I work with Shupe a lot. Me and Shupe had a really good chemistry. We did a lot together. As you heard in, my first episode of this show, we talk a lot about that. We talk about... I've talked a lot about Shupe on this show. So, look us up on YouTube. That's what I'm going to just tell you guys, man. If you guys are really keep listening to this and are intrigued by these stories and some of these things, it's all out there on the tube. at least for now, it's free. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a lot of those videos saved, so I mean, I'll always have them. But I worked a lot with Shupe, and again, listen to episode 1. You'll hear about our first match and all that stuff. And I would move on, and I'll finally start working with other people. I know me and Shupe were at the point where it's like, all right, dude, we've worked with each other, and like we want to work with other people. So we would move on, and we worked with other people, and I kind of got thrown in the tag division, which was cool because you want to learn how to be a good tag wrestler. That's you need to know that. And thank the Lord, I was with Venice DeMarco, who's like a guy that I've hung out with and learned from over the years, and now I'm his tag partner, and now he's gonna we're gonna bounce off each other, and we're gonna establish something, and we did, and we were the Heartbreakers, adorable Venice DeMarco, irresistible Mitch Valentine, MV and VD, the Heartbreakers, and man, what a great time, man. Probably a 8-month run, which ended with us winning the tag team championships, and then from there, Venice, I think he wrestled Rikishi and retired. I mean, so that was like, I think I had one of his last matches was me and him winning the tag team championships. Which, to build to that, too, I mean, there's so much, guys. I just don't have time to cover all these little things, but, I mean, just so much happened. 2011 was a really, really good year for PCW. Like, we ran in Chico and Yuba City and came back to Chico, and we got out of Oroville in 2010 for a little bit. 2011, and then 2012, we started establishing a lot of stuff in Chico. That's where I lived, and Zack was married, so he had a family. Like, he needed to take a little step back, and I was more than willing to step in and do everything that I possibly could, because I love PCW, and I love everything about it. So we did the Living the Dream contests, and we worked with radio stations, and we worked with TV stations and newspapers, and I mean, I was hustling every day. Every day was PCW. I was in a relationship. I probably was a horrible boyfriend because I was focused on PCW. And like I said, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I don't know if it was because they saw this kid that loved PCW that worked every day for it, and maybe they had their own lives and they couldn't do that. So maybe, I don't know. You'll have to ask people that have a negative opinion of me why. And I would love to ask that and have a discussion with them, but the fact is, those type of people don't want to have those type of discussions, I guess. I don't know. But I know that 2012 was, again, that's my first championship with Venice DeMarco, and that I cried, man. That felt so good to win a championship, because the fact is, even though I'm busting my ass behind the scenes, the fact is, I was busting my ass in the ring, and Zack and Rick believed in me that I could carry a championship, and Venice DeMarco was a big part of that as well. But the fact is, he was done after that. So from there, they wanted to keep me in the tag division, and I was cool with staying in the tag division. I wasn't ready to move up or anything, and being in the tag division, the tag champs, it's like that's the pinnacle, right? That's, as a tag team wrestler, being the tag team champions, you can't ask for anything more. So, I would work with these other companies. I would work for SPW, and I worked in Clear Lake, and I worked in Reno. I had some amazing times in Reno at the Reno Wrestle Factory. Probably outside of PCW, I feel like I told the best stories in Reno, without a shadow of a doubt. And I was also, blessed enough to work with Gold Rush Pro Wrestling and All Pro Wrestling. And, again, I'm cramming all this in here because we're almost 2 hours in. An hour 45 or whatever, 47. But it's like, to work for these companies was just such a reward for me. You know, it felt so good. I love getting on the road and going into a town that no one knows me, and I can just be the Heartbreaker, Mitch Valentine. And, you know, the Heartbreaker was created basically by Zack. Like, he heard that song on the radio, and he just said, you got to be the Heartbreaker. You're already Mitch Valentine. You might as well be the Heartbreaker. You got the hearts, the red, the black, dance. I go, Zack, I don't think I can dance, bro. He's like, no, you're going to dance. I'm like, am I? Like, okay. So, you know, and it just evolved, and that's why, you know, try to, if anyone ever asks me, it's like, you know, your character is so important. You have to know your character. I asked the work farm students a while back, I said, write 4 or 5 or 3 paragraphs, or whatever, 3 to 5 paragraphs on your character. Who are you? You know, and then 3 supporting reasons why you're that character, and then, you know, closing or whatever. I don't know. I didn't pay attention enough in school, but I do love writing stories, and I love telling stories, and I love telling stories all over California. You know, whether it was with Shupe or me and Joe DeSoul told some good stories. Of course, me and Chico Lopez, me and Kimmy, me and Zack, me and Rick, you know, me and Will Rude. You know, when they paired us together after DeMarco left, I was paired with Will Rude, and, you know, of course, you know, I'll briefly just say, you know, I was a big supporter of Kimmy and really pushed for her to get on the show and wrestled her when there was nobody else for her to wrestle, and, you know, put her over, and you know, that's how the tag belts were taken off of me, was by Kimmy pinning me, and then by her pinning me, Shupe and Chico were the tag champs. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but that's what happened. And then me and Will Rude beat the Chico Hammers for the tag belts. So now here I am, 2-time PCW tag champion with Will Rude, and we are the dream team. And I got a red, white, and blue singlet, and we had some great times. I thought we were also a really good fit, and we had a good, you know, damn near a year run, you know, right about a year. And had the tag belts, defended them, and then finally lost them to Primetime and Luxury. And then we were supposed to get our rematch in TLC, but Will Rude had obligations in Houston with Booker T, which, oh, gee, you know, hey, how can you be upset in any way about that? Which I wasn't, and I'm very proud of Will, and now he's Will Hobbs, and very proud of how far he's come, and, you know, wish him nothing but the best, and had a great time with him. And from there, you know, here we are. It's like it's Primetime and Luxury, the tag champs, defending in a tables, ladders, and chairs match against me, and I need a partner. So I'm just like, well, who the hell am I going to team with? I was like, maybe Dylan Drake, you know, that'd be cool. I always felt a connection to Dylan, you know, as he brought me into the ring, you know, and introduced me for the first time. And I just really respected Dylan, and Dylan Drake's amazing. I mean, my God, what a, it's a shame he never got a contract, but, you know, maybe it's just, I don't know, but he did a lot. He accomplished a lot, and he's a role model, for wrestlers, and the way Dylan Drake did it is the way you should do it. But he was involved in other stuff, so I needed a tag partner, and I think we just kind of fumbled into saying, hey, it's got to be Shupe, you know? We started together, we got history. He had just been in a ladder match and won. Like, everything made sense. So Shupe was my partner, and here we are. We started as these 2 awkward work farm guys wrestling on a show to now main eventing. We're back in Oroville at the Municipal Auditorium against our 2 trainers and mentors, you know, in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the PCW Tag Team Championships. And, you know, it's ironic that the love of my life was there that night, too. Very ironic. And I don't know how much time I'm going to have to touch on Kaylin, but I just want to say that I love that woman, And God has brought us together, and she was there that night with her kids, and Shupe and I got the hell beat out of us. We got the hell beat out of us. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing. There's no plan. It's just, here we go. There's ladders, there's tables, there's chairs. Here's the finish. Let's get there. Maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. And I took a backdrop off stairs through a table, but Shupe took a freaking top rope ladder suplex, which is, still probably one of the craziest spots ever in PCW. Him and Zack, ladder superplex, just crazy. It was a really tall ladder too, just nuts. And then Zack splashed me also. Him standing on top of the ladder and splashing me was, I think, also could be considered one of the greatest spots ever, because the balance and the risk and everything and just the precision, it's just, And, Shupe pulled down a belt and Rick pulled down a belt. And you can find this match on YouTube. And basically what happened is we all became co-tag team champions, because one of my partners pulled down a belt, one of Zack's partners pulled down a belt, so now we're kind of co-tag team champions all together. And then we'd go and do a cage match the next month, in which I still have chips in my elbow from that fall off the cage that I took through a table. But, it's just things that I wanted to do. I was able to train with Matt Hardy a few months before the TLC match, and I asked him, I said, what do you think? First TLC match? He said, don't do it. But he also said a lot of other things, and that was an amazing seminar. And again, debuting for All Pro Wrestling, and we're talking about 2013, and to be able to go and to APW, and there's just so much, guys. I just don't think I'm going to be able to really go into detail about everything here with the way we've already gone almost 2 hours. I can't believe it. So I'm gonna do some fast forwarding here, because I just feel like I have talked for a long time, and I have so much more that I could go into detail about. But just moving forward here briefly, I got to do a lot of great things in a lot of great places, and I'm just thankful. Vendetta Pro Wrestling, going down there wrestling in front of my grandma in Ventura, just awesome. Wrestling in Yuba City with WCWF, great times with those guys. Great times in Clear Lake, always undefeated in Clear Lake until, Patrick P. Daddy Abbey, Patrick Abbott, P. Daddy, he got a win on me, and we told great stories in Clear Lake, man. The stories we told, well, not a big crowd, but man, I'm just so proud of those stories we told. And going, where else did I wrestle? GGP, man. I had a good time in GGP. I thought, again, great stories. Idris Jackson was a future WWE superstar. It is a travesty that Idris Jackson had the injury that he had, and I don't even know much about it, but God bless Idris Jackson. He got it, and he got it right away. I've never seen anybody get it as quick as Idris Jackson got it. He had the body, he had the look, he was developing a personality, and he was a badass in the ring, man. And I had fun with him. I'm glad I got to work with him. Also, I started pursuing stand-up comedy. This is 2014, and great matches with Rick Luxury. Talk about a story. Before I get into the stand-up comedy, me and Rick Luxury, I want to say that me and Zack, I want to say that's my greatest, storyline, because he's my, my number one trainer or whatever. Number one, SmackDown, number one trainer, PCW, number one trainer. Anyways, but the fact is, man, me and Rick really told probably the best stories in my career so far, because we, it was 2.5 years straight of just always doing stuff and evolving and hating each other, and then having a team together, and then hating each other and hating each other worse. And Donovan, Troi, again, big shout out to Donovan. He was on episode 12, I think. Go listen to that episode. Donovan's amazing, and he have helped evolve my character, and I hope I helped him too. And But Rick, man, just me and him, just tasers and street fights and cages and just, we told some stories, man. Love Rick Luxury. Absolutely love him. Absolutely respect him. I think he is God's gift to NorCal wrestling. Rick Luxury is NorCal wrestling, and that's all I got to say about that. And also, Scotty Aboot. I wanted to touch on Scotty. He was there when I first started, and he was the champion. Youngest champion, I think, in the history of the NWA. If people really do research on it, he was 18 years old. He was NWA California PCW champion. So, anyways, probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen in the ring, and me and him didn't really click right away. It took us a while, but in 2015, we clicked, man. And I love Scotty Boot. Miss him. PCW original, I always say there's four. It's like it's luxury, it's prime time, it's a boot, and it's hate. And hate's the only one that I really haven't ever developed anything with as far as a closeness. And that's just, hey man, he's hate and I'm Valentine. Like, it's just, I think we're just, I don't know. We just are who we are, We are who we are. Don't stop, make it pop. DJ, blow my speakers up. Oh yeah, you get musical delightfulness on here. And here we go, guys. Stand-up comedy. Okay, so I've always loved stand-up comedy. Dane Cook, Stephen Lynch, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, Adam Sandler. I mean, I just love funny people, and I love people that make me laugh. So I always had that in my back of my mind, like, I'd love to try that. So I did try it, and I've probably been on a comedy mic at the most maybe 50 times, maybe about 50, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, I don't know. But in 50 times, 60 times, whatever it was, I was able to, through my skills that I developed in wrestling, I guess, was able to use those, promote my own shows at the Cantina, some of the greatest nights of my life, at the Cantina. My first time in the Cantina was my 21st birthday. My last time in the Cantina was my 28th birthday. It's like, a special place, very special place. Very sad when it shut down. But yeah, the Chico comedy scene kind of was what I got into on the side while I was wrestling and, working crappy jobs. And I'm not going to get into my work history, guys. It's like, I've had 50 or 60 jobs, there you go. There's me getting into my work history that I said I wasn't going to do. It's very difficult. It's been very difficult for me to find financial success, because I have to follow my dreams and I have to do what I love, and I can't be miserable all day long. So, yeah, so the comedy was fun. I met a lot of great people, people that have been on this show, and I had a great time. And I think those shows at the Cantina were magical. The shows at the Shenanigans that I promoted were shenaniganful. Anyways, so we'll fast forward 2015. I'll briefly touch on WrestleMania. Again, guys, gosh, we're only in 2015 and it's 2 hours in. So I'll try to keep this at 2:22. How about that? I'll give you 20 more minutes if you can stand it. I will be surprised if you have listened this long. Okay, props to you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. If you've listened to me ramble on for 2 hours, God bless you. Thank you. And I don't even know what else to say. I can't believe I'm still talking. So I just want to say WrestleMania was an absolute amazing experience. Much love again to Donovan Troi for making that possible. You guys know the story. I'm not going to go into it about Sonny and all that stuff that happened. Nobody asked me a question about Sonny, so I'm not going to really even go into it. It's out there. I've talked about it on the show. I've told it so many times that I'm not going to go into it. But I do want to talk about coming back from Pennsylvania and how I felt and how frustrated I was and how I was ready to be done, and there was a couple times before, like in 2009, I told Zack I was done, and that didn't last very long. And then when I came back from Pennsylvania, I was feeling like I was ready to be done also. And I just wanted to have my match with Zack at the Municipal for the title. And I wanted to put him over, and I wanted it to be, title versus career, and put Zack over, and then do the whole nah thing and take a break. But of course, also, since, day one, I've always wanted to be the PCW Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. Scotty Aboot was the man when I started, and I wanted to be him. I wanted to be the champ. I wanted to be Oliver John. I wanted to be Rick Luxury. I wanted to be Matt Carlos and Dylan Drake. I wanted to be Primetime. I wanted to be the champion. I wanted to be the man. So, came back. We started our angle, and it was me and Zack, and it was promos, and it was Work Farm Wars, and it was promos, and it was Work Farm Wars, and it was promos, and it was a long process. And during that also, I got to work with Dylan Drake, which was a dream come true. We had I wish I kind of screwed the finish up, and I feel bad about it, but I mean, for the most part, I thought it was a pretty good match. Also, got to wrestle the Classic Connection, which was one of my favorite matches I've ever had. Probably, if you look it up, I've posted it on Facebook, and I always say I think that's probably the greatest story I've ever told. Like, when you look at from everything from the commentary to the match to the aftermath, like everything that happened on that night in August at Work Farm Wars was I just love that story. And it finally led through all these promos and all this stuff and all these talks and all this crap and all the training and everything. It was Zack, Primetime Reeb, Mr. Primetime MPT, whatever the hell kind of primetime he is, versus the Heartbreaker Mitch Valentine off the chain, September 19th, 2015. And again, I've gone into detail about this on this show. I think episode 15, me and Zack really dive into it. And, it truly was the greatest accomplishment in my wrestling career so far. I mean, to pin Primetime, that Municipal, nice crowd, not huge, not small. It was a good crowd. Wish it was bigger, but, that's what I always say, right? Unless I'm talking about my belly. But the fact was, it was just such a great feeling, and I knew that I felt, I didn't know, but I felt like, you know what? Yeah, this is where I should be. But it was like, I literally thought I was done, but the fact was after I wrestled the Connection, Rick and James and Zack all pulled me off to the side at the depot and said, like, dude, you got to win the belt, and from there, I mean, and I said, yeah, do I? Like, yeah, of course I do. But I was ready to quit. But then, like, yeah, no, I felt it too. I said, no, you guys are right. And they didn't know I wanted to quit. We were just building to this, like, it was a storyline where I would just kind of get away for a little bit. And that's probably what would have happened, and who knows what would have happened if that would have happened, but things happen the way they happen. Happen. But, like, once it was all decided, and then having Rick Luxury as the referee, and, having Zack, it's just, there was a little screwy on the finish or whatever. Nobody really noticed, but, like, overall the match was good, and it was just such a great feeling. It really was. And then, going the next month at Work Farm Wars, it was, and shout out to Mr. Spiffy, I always do. He helped with the whole Pro Championship Entertainment thing. Like, we were doing the whole wrestler versus entertainer, which evolved into me saying, all right, well, Pro Championship Wrestling is dead now. I'm the champion. I'm the entertainment champion of the world. Welcome to Pro Championship Entertainment. And the next Work Farm Wars, I got a big E up. I paid and decorated the whole Work Farm with PCE gimmicks and sang my song, and that was a disaster. But coming out singing my song all the way. I had a girl that was supposed to sing the song, but she kind of flaked or whatever. I guess I was supposed to sing it, so I did. So, and then what I really felt bad about, because it's like, you know, I'm closing in on a dozen years here, and Shupe says I was, you know, in episode 1 I was a little rough with him or whatever. He's just a pussy, but but no, I've really only so I've been at it for almost 12 years, and I guess there was 2 injuries that I caused or was a part of in like a span of 2 or 3 months, right around the time I won the championship. The first one, ironically, was with Kimmy. Now, Kimmy, again, I mean, me and Kimmy, so much history since day one. I mean, she was sitting in the crowd watching me host and, you know, whatever, and now she's training with me, and then I had her first match and everything, and, I mean, put my neck on the line and did so much for Kimmy, and, you know, she feels how she feels, and that's fine. But I guess what happened is Sean Gunn was in the ring, and we were working on a finisher for Kimmy, and he was kind of wanting her to do this eat the feet thing, the Gail Kim finish, and I guess he was instructing how to take it, which, okay, well, that's what was going on. So, a couple people took it, I think, and then I was like, well, I want to take it, you know, because nobody makes Kimmy look better than I do, right? So I took it, and I don't know, I'm a big guy, obviously, but it's like, I don't know if I put too much pressure on, I must have put too much pressure on her shin or whatever. And apparently, you know, that hurt her, you know, and she's broke her ankle and her collarbone and stuff, doing other stuff in the ring. And I don't know if she had previous issues with that injury and that was just kind of added to it. You know, and she did wrestle, you know, a match after that the next weekend and a couple matches after that. She kept wrestling and I don't know. But I feel like she, from all accounts, you know, like she basically blames me for her injury. Which, of course, I feel horrible about. Like, I never want to hurt anybody. Like, this is not UFC. You know, this is entertainment. This is art. This is a show. We want it to look as real as possible. We never want to hurt each other. So, if I hurt Kimmy, I hope she knows that I feel bad and I'm sorry. And it was just crazy because, like, 2 months later or whatever, I'm in the ring defending my championship against Ethan White. And we had a really good match, and after the match, I was going to whack him with my chair, and I, you know, hit him in the gut. I went to whack him on the back, and I don't know what happened. I was the one swinging the chair, so ultimately, it's all in my hands. So I missed. I didn't hit him in the upper back. I did hit him in the upper back, but I caught him on his head, man, and man, he was busted open and bleeding, and I felt so bad. And thankfully, the love of my life, who's a nurse, was there, and she checked on him right away. And you know, I texted him every day, and like, I don't know, he probably hates me or whatever, or maybe he doesn't. But I mean, you know, that didn't help my reputation at all, because you know, there's already people that have opinions of me, and I've said some things, and, you know, I'm definitely guilty of being arrogant, you know, sometimes. And I don't mean to be arrogant, I'm just confident and I believe in myself. But, you know, the fact is, you know, I did what I did, and I feel horrible about it. And Ethan White, I still owe him a rematch. So I just hope he doesn't crack me in the head with a chair. That wouldn't be fun. But it is what it is. And my last match, as of right now, was in Reading, defending against Primetime. And again, I think I've gone into detail about this on the show. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it was probably one of my favorite matches I've ever had. Excuse me. And, you know, and it was the end of my wrestling career at that point. It was my last night that I've had a match. And now, you guys know now that that's all, you know, that was over 2 years ago. I'm outside now peeing. I'm peeing live on Mitch Please. Here we go. Peeing outside. How about that? So, you guys hear that? Classic episode, right? 2 hours and 12 minutes in here. And well, probably a little more with the intro. But, you know, the fact is, it was time for me to get away. And, you know, I only really got away for about 6 months. You know, the company did what it did. You know, new people came in, you know, things changed a little bit, but I was really only gone for about 6 months, you know, 6 or 7 months, because by that summer of 16, you know, me and Zack were back to talking finally, and in fact, our first conversation in 6 months was on this show. You know, we did it live on the show, but you know, I came back, I started getting sponsors, you know, because I've always been good at promotion and sponsors, and, you know, obviously, you know, that's something that's valuable, so I came back and was doing that, and I started getting a little hungry, and I'm not to wrestle, but I wanted to be a part of the show. I was still doing a little comedy, but this wasn't enough. I wanted to be a part of the wrestling show, so but I was denied. They didn't want, they were like, no. You're not. You kind of screwed up. You were the champion, and you made some bad decisions, and you're not coming back yet. So I had to go outside of PCW, and I had to go and talk to Mikey Gordon, and go on down to Santa Cruz. Nobody else, I guess, wanted me, so Santa Cruz, here I come, and Uncle Love was born, and of course I'm managing the guy that I started with as the Heartbreaker, you know, Shupe, you know, Cupid Mikey Shupe Shellhammer, Pink Dragon, excuse me, but, yeah, and it felt amazing. It was good. It was fun. It was like this kind of outside VFW show, but it was great. And we did 2 shows, I think. And I wish we would have done more, but, you know, things happen the way they happen. So, from there, I think I went to Cameron Park and did some commentary, and then finally, my birthday in 2016, after massive pestering and probably telling Zack that I would never forgive him for the rest of my life if he didn't let me step out the curtain on my birthday, I came out and I got to be the Heartbreaker and do some commentary with AGB. And, you know, all these things in my life were, you know, made possible through God, but they're made possible through my wonderful family and a lot of wonderful women, you know, from my mom and my grandma, you know, and my first boss, Stacy Murphy. I'm sorry to shout your last name out, but, you know, she was amazing too. And, you know, I did have a lot of, you know, yo, let me tell you about uncles. Yo, fat chicks, bro, they give the best head. You know why? Because they're hungry. And because they have to. Yo, I don't know why I transformed into my uncle, but no, I just want to show love to women, and that was not a good way to do it. But I have been blessed by women in my life that have done so much for me, and men too, and humans, and animals, and I'm just so at peace right now. And this last year has been incredible year. I knew it too, because 17 is my lucky number, and I turned 30 this year, and, you know, on the 17th, and I just knew something it was going to happen, and I'll tell you guys what happened. I mean, I could tell you about, you know, commentating and stuff, and going back and hosting the show, but I didn't really get a lot of questions about that. So before I answer your questions, I want to shout out all the wonderful women in my life that have made my life what it is, you know, and like I said, men too, you know, Zack, Dave, Bill, like there's all these guys, but Rick, you know, but like the fact is like there's so many. You guys are outnumbered, you know, all these women, my mom, my grandma, you know, some bosses and stuff, and girlfriends, I guess, whatever, but really, you know, I gotta show love to Kaylin. This woman has been in my life for 4.5 years. She has put up with more crap than probably anybody but my mom and my grandma. And the only reason why is because she's got 4.5 and they got 30. But I'll tell you what, the stuff that she's put up with in 4.5, it's right up there with she's put up with some crap, man. I've done some horrible things, and I have learned, and I've learned, and I've learned. And then I learned a little bit more. And then I was stupid, and then I was dumb, and then I was an idiot, and then I learned again. And then I was another idiot, and another dumbass, and another moron, and then I learned again. And then I learned again, and then I learned again, and then she made sure that I learned again. And her patience, the kind of mother she is to her 3 beautiful daughters, which again, 3 more women, right, in my life, the children she has raised, the way she raises her kids, her work ethic, the way she busts her sweet little ass. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's everything that I've ever wanted. So, I just wanted to say that, because you guys, if you're a fan of me or if you admire anything that I've done, I want to give all the credit to the women in my life. My mom, my grandma, Kaylin, and others. But I would definitely, Kaylin's daughters, I'm not going to list their names on here, but they're up there, and they're all amazing women, and they've done amazing things, and they will continue to do amazing things. And so if I could just say this, you guys, I know I'm probably not the best person to give advice on women advice or whatever, but the fact is I do have a lot of experience with women, and just be good to your woman, be good to your mom, be good to your sister, be good to everybody. But women are there to be cherished, they're beautiful creatures. They're not even creatures. Well, they can be creaturey, but they're just beautiful, and they need to be held on a pedestal. They really do, We're only kings because we have queens. And I don't know if that's a quote that I kind of made it up, or if people have said that, but that's the truth. The only reason we are kings is because we have queens. So just remember that if you can. And, if I didn't talk about you or whatever, I've been talking for way too long. I'm already way past my deadline here of what I wanted to do, so I'm going to end with that. Thanks for coming on the show, Mitch Valentine. Really appreciate you being a guest here on Mitch Please, and we have some questions for you that were sent in that we're going to go ahead and get done here real quick. Edgar, he says, can you give me some advice for an aspiring wrestler? Well, Edgar, my advice would be, make sure that you love pro wrestling, and you truly have to have a love and a passion for it. Because there's guys like Brock and stuff that'll come through and that'll make money because they're studs, but it's very rare. So make sure you love it. Make sure this is what you really want. Make sure you're ready for a lifetime of pain. You're gonna get injured. I even talk about my injuries. I've hurt both my shoulders. My right one, I had to have surgery on the metal in my shoulder. I've got a huge scar. I've had 5 or 6 concussions. My knee's a little tweaky. I've busted open my chin. I got a scar on my chin from a ring post. My elbow's got cracked bones in it, or chips or whatever. And it's tough emotionally too. There's a lot of politics. There's a lot of crap, man. It's not easy. So be prepared. Have passion. Have love. If this is what you want, then you better go for it. Don't dick around. you should definitely have a backup plan. You should be going to college or at least pursuing another job that's going to make you a lot of money. Make sure you have a lot of money. You know, it's not cheap to train. It's not cheap to get gear. It's not cheap to travel and wrestle for $20. You know, it's not, the first 5 years of your career, for the most part, you're probably going to lose money. First 5 years with your training and everything else. Be prepared for that. All right? And work out, man. It's all about looking good because this is an aesthetic business. Like, people can't feel what we're doing. They can only hear it and they can only see it. So work out, you know, go take some drama classes. Don't be shy, because being shy, you're not going to, you can still make it, but you're not going to go as far as you would if you have personality and you have no fear. And, just go after it, bro. Don't fuck around. You know what I mean? Like, really set your goals and execute and get in shape and just get it, brother. Will ya? Dustin, who stands out in WWE? What up, Dustin? Much love to you, bro. You've been a big supporter of this show and a big supporter of me. I really appreciate you. AJ Styles, I think that's everybody's answer, right? Like, he's amazing. He's phenomenal, right? Like, people have been saying that for 15 years. I've loved AJ since 2002. And he's evolved into the best in the world. You know, he's not the best talker, but he's at a point where he can talk and get his message across, and he's genuine, and he's the phenomenal AJ Styles. So he stands out. Brock Lesnar stands out because he's special. He's very special, and he's the most legit guy that they have. You know, Kurt Angle's there. He stands out. Again, one of the most legit guys they have as far as credibility. You know, as far as, like, you know, you're watching this with your uncle or your grandpa or somebody, some friend or whatever. You're like, listen, this guy actually won an Olympic gold medal, you know, or this guy was a UFC champion. Like, that's huge, you know. And going back to Edgar's question, like, dude, get into real fighting too. Like, learn how to wrestle, learn how to do jiu-jitsu, learn how to kickbox, because you want credibility. And there's some times where you might have to get in a fight and you need to be ready. And I don't condone violence, but, like, this is the wrestling business, and this is for tough people. And then also, Dustin, I mean, there's a lot of people I think that stand out in WWE. You know, Shinsuke Nakamura, Alexa Bliss, Samoa Joe, one of my favorites ever. You know, Sasha Banks. The women stand out. I'll tell you that. I think there's probably more interesting women characters than men. And it's because of Total Divas, but it's also because women are powerful as shit. And the sooner we realize that, the better off we're all going to be. Man, I'm like a feminist here today, huh? Well, life is real, and you know, praise God and all that stuff, guys. Like, you know, it's weird, right, to when you hear people say that kind of stuff, but it's like, we say it for a reason. Like, I was never really, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but, like, I'll just come back to that later, okay? Bright asks, what's your worst match or your least favorite match? I mean, good question, because, right, everyone always asks your favorite. But it's like, it's hard to say, because, like, every match was a learning experience. You know, so as far as, like, a match where I felt like I had not, you know, my least favorite performance. Well, I remember the one that always comes to mind is, like, you know, it was me and Rick against the Commandos in SPW opener, and it's like my fifth or sixth match, and oh my gosh, no, dude. Honestly, like, there's so. All right, let me tell you. So, like, I lock up with the Commandos and I just take a bump because, like, I'm expecting him to shuck me, but I don't say anything, and, like, he had no plans on shucking me. I just bump right out of a lockup. It was ridiculous. But then, like, also going back, like, my first PCW match, main event, really, in Clear Lake in 2009. Like, oh my god, like, I hate myself in that match, and I hate myself in my first real match, which was in Modesto at the Fat Cat triple threat with Primetime and Anderson, and I hate myself in that match. My gear, mainly my gear too. Like, my gear makes, you know, those two, the Modesto one and the Clear Lake one. My gear was just so horrible, so I think that's another reason why I hated my matches there. But so those also, I wrestled Shupe at the Fat Cat Modesto and separated my shoulder. I would think that would have to be my least favorite because I hurt myself, and I've never seen the footage, and I felt like the match was actually going really good until, close to the end, and all they remember is the finish, kid. David asks, here we go, here's a nice appropriate question. How many dates before butt sex? Well, David, if you're talking about with you, I mean, you don't have a chance, bro. I mean, and I don't know, like whose butt? Like my butt or like my date's butt and your butt? I mean, whose butt are we talking about? And why are we talking about anybody's butt? Because the only butt that's on my mind is my beautiful woman, Kaylin's butt. And I'm not going to go into any more detail about that. So... anyways, all right. Pat asks, are you really the guest on your own show? Well, Pat, am I? I think we both know the answer, and that's a big hashtag in all capitals. Yeah! Taya asks, would you ever date another WWE diva? If so, who? All right. Well... obviously, the answer to that is I will never date another woman in my life besides my future wife and beautiful woman, Kaylin. But, if I can just play pretend for a minute, as I mentioned earlier, I do think Stephanie McMahon is incredible. Again, another woman that's very powerful and very accomplished. And so I think I really respect and admire her. I think she's very attractive. I think Trish Stratus is attractive. I think Candice Michelle I love her music and something about her in her heyday. There's so many beautiful, Alexa Bliss is beautiful. Like, there's a lot of beautiful women in wrestling, but no, to answer your question, I mean, no, I'm not dating anybody but my woman that I love and that has put up with so much crap that I owe it to her to, be with her, and I want to be with her, and she's super hot and so many other things that I just don't think anybody really could compare to her. The Standard Mike Summers. When do you plan on making an in-ring return? Well, it's funny you ask, Mike, because December 16th, 2017, my last day in my 20s, I made it official and I returned. And you saw a little bit on Facebook Live. And I don't know if any other video will be released from that night, but I have a little something I might put out. But it's like I got to get in there and work with Zack and Jacob Fatu and stuff, and draw my number, and I'm back on January 12th in the Last Man Standing Rumble, and I plan on kicking everyone's butt, and yeah, and it's been a long time coming too, man, because, as you guys know, over 2 years since I've been in the ring. So a little nervous and stuff. I got to lose some weight. I got to get in shape. But, if I just keep saying that, it's not going to happen. I got to get back in that ring, and I've got to make it happen. All right. How are we doing, guys? 2.5 hours. All right. Well, we're almost done, I promise. Lisa, how much to get you one-on-one with the Roost? Well, if he'll sign the waiver, I'd do it for, like in a real fight, because I am a little pissed at him. I ain't seen him in friggin' forever, and he's like, he's hiding from me. But, no, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question. I wouldn't want to ever hurt Ryan or anything, but I would love to get him involved in wrestling. I think we'd have some fun. Like back in the day, we used to wrestle around in my backyard a little bit on mattresses, and we had some fun. He was my first, going back, I've only injured a couple people or whatever. Well, he was probably on that list too, because I was careful, but, we had a lot of fun. I touched on him a lot earlier in the show. All right, and then we got Ian here. Last question. Who is your wrestling inspiration? So I'm going to give you, I could give you a list, but I'm going to give you two guys. So the first one is going to be The Rock. That's the reason I started watching. Again, my friend Darnell told me about The Rock, and that's who that's who drew me in, you know? So that's my first wrestling inspiration, that he drove me, and through all his success and who he is now. I mean, what a great pick, right? Like, the guy has become amazing, and he's been my inspiration since I was 12 years old. So for 18 plus years, that has been my inspiration. And then also, you know, fast forwarding, I gotta say, I mean, and this is a little cliche and cheesy, but my wrestling trainer, you know, Zack Reeb. I mean, without him, there's no way I would have done anything in wrestling. I didn't have the right attitude. I wouldn't have made it, I don't think. I think Zack was the only guy that could have dealt with all my crap. And I don't know why. I don't know if he saw a little bit of himself in me or whatever it was, but I don't think anybody else could have dealt with my crap and put up with me and benefit from me the way that the Zack did. So those are my two guys, man. Those are my two inspirations. And we got to end this show, guys. This is ridiculous. Let me just tell you that. Actually, let me just thank every guest that I've ever had on this show. Mike Shupe, Robin Valentine, Don Ashby, Zack Reeb, Thunder Rosa, Germ Leather, Rachel Myles, Drake Nelson, Sin, who's been on here twice, and Zack's also been on here twice. And Shupe's been on here a good amount of times, doing intros and stuff. The Classic Connection, Mark Leathers, Miss Alma, Donovan Troi, Jody Christofferson, Bradley Rotten, who's been on twice as well and done an intro or so, EVE, who's done an intro, and Nick Styles, and they were also guests, Jacob Fatu, Brian Cage, also who's done an intro, Shupe, by the way, also did an intro. I want to just make sure I give everybody credit here as we wrap up. Jason Allen, Royce Isaacs, Kimmy, who also did an intro, Johnny Maverick, the coach, Matt Sutter, Old School Oliver John, the Fallen Flower Kikio, Phil from Chico, special appearances by The Roost, my nephew Jackson, my nephew Zachary, Ginger Daniels, and then big shout outs to the people that did the intros, as I've mentioned, a couple of them, Rachel Myles, EVE, Donovan Troi, Shupe, Kimmy, Boyce LeGrande, Rick Luxury, Primetime, Zack, Reeb, Brian Cage, again, Rotten, and then the two big ones. This is like really, really proud to have had, former WWE superstar Al Snow and Montel Vontavious Porter MVP. Just very thankful for everybody that has been a part of the show and contributed in some way. Very, very thankful for everybody that has listened to this show. Okay? And even if you only listen for a minute, thank you. I appreciate the click. I'm all about those clicks. Those clicks are the future of our world, unfortunately. Or fortunately, we'll see. All right. And speaking of clicking and social media and all that good stuff, you can find me at HeartbreakerMV on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Facebook, I got a bunch of things going on. Of course, Mitch Valentine on Facebook, Team Valentine, Got Mitch Marketing, Pro Championship Entertainment. Mitch Please, this podcast, you can see every episode or listen to every episode, and also YouTube.com/The Mitch Valentine is also every episode of Mitch Please, matches, promos, a little stand-up comedy, other fun stuff. Check that out, subscribe, and this is it, guys. What a finale, huh? Probably, over 2.5 hours here, 2 hours 40 minutes with my opens and closes and intros and outros and habas and rabas, and I appreciate you guys very much. If you've listened to this whole thing, like I said, God bless you. Thank you. And next time you can catch me performing, most likely, will be on January 12th at the Oroville Municipal Auditorium. PCW, Last Man Standing. The doors open at 6:30. The show starts at 7. Front row tickets are $25. VIP tickets are $20. General admission is $15. And kids 6 and under are free with a paid adult. I will be in the 30-man Rumble, and I'll be out for revenge against Jacob Fatu. Like I said, the footage hasn't been released yet, but I probably will put it out there. He kicked me in the face, and I'm going to have to kick him in the face. So, again, thank everybody. Thank everybody. Yeah, that's where I'm at. After all this yakking, thank everybody. No, thank you to everybody for everything. God bless you, and make dreams happen. Will ya? Oh, and also, I can't forget the starving artist Dupre. Every single episode of Mitch Please, you hear him, and you've heard a couple of his songs, and you're going to hear him again, because I can't think of a better way to end this show than his music. So, thank you guys. You've been listening to Mitch Please, and we're going to kick it on over to the starving artist Dupre. One love. God bless.
It's just a silly man trying to understand who the fuck I am on this US land. I let my hair grow, then I cut it off, put a couple lines in it, cause you know I'm never coming soft. I do a lot of shows and I get a lot of stares. I got a lot of haters, but really who cares? I pimp on my bike, no lie, riding by, fifth and eye, catch an eye from across the street. A couple girls I wanna meet, but it ain't destiny, cause you know I gotta be where I'm going, feeling grown, headed to the studio to sing another song. I'm gone. Yeah. TV's dead, and there ain't no war in my head now. And you seem very beautiful to me. I used to play hockey twice a day. I would score a roller hockey, then go to the movies and play Tonto hockey. I love the blondes that wanted to do me the coolest G. Drinking iced tea at the house party. The classic, fuck the plastic. This is classic times, it's getting drastic. Haters getting blasted. Nowadays I'm back to getting placid. I can't help it. The 40 straight melted. Then I piss it out. Austin Powers on the toilet. Don't spoil it. Now you getting too serious. You getting too serious. Man, I'm feeling myself. Man, I'm getting straight delirious. TV's dead, and there ain't no war in my head now. And you seem very beautiful to me. Met a girl from Reading with a big booty setting. Now you know I'm letting, best believe I'm betting. Met a girl in Zack with a booty real fat. What's crazy about that is she love my rap. I attest I ain't the best. I'm just getting what's on my chest. The living legends, nothing less. Tell me what's next. Went tubing down the Sack River, cold as a shiver. Trying to roll the blunt, drinking slowly, eating my lunch. Yo, I fell underwater just like an otter. Thank God for your daughter that she pulled me out the water. Can't you follow me? My reality will be an entity with my sensitivity, my mind in the sea. Just be